Remember what it was? I've had 10 phone calls. Oh, that's good. Then everybody can enjoy that free meat.
Safely. If it's free over here, huh?
Are they
Prime rib, $6.97.
But and that's not bad. It's not bad, but I'll tell you what, it doesn't beat whatever the rest of it is. Oh my goodness.
It's $3.
Well, we don't, yeah, I guess we do have a quorum. Any word from our other two
No.
compadres here? All right. 3:30, we'll call the meeting to order. Public information. Copy of the Open Meetings Act is on the east wall of the Commissioners Room. Roll call, please. Here.
Harold,
Here. Here.
Raisig,
Here.
Blue,
Okay. We rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay.
I wonder if Mike looked at his agenda close enough to realize that we have an early meeting. Oh, I don't know about the.
Well, I hope he's happy with the committees we put him on. That's
Yeah,
okay. I need a motion for approval of the agenda if there's no changes.
approval of the agenda as submitted.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
and
Okay,
I don't,
I guess we'll call the roll, please.
Harris,
Yes,
Knapper,
Yes.
Meyer,
Yes.
Raisig.
Yes. Okay, Lisa.
Don't you have to discuss your committees first, or is that?
Well, let's do that. Then we can get Kyle on his way.
I wish I could.
John's here, do you need him?
It's not back there.
Listen.
That's all right. I don't have to. We can discuss. I got rules of paper I can give you two. Yeah, it's like it's there. It tries to spin.
Well, let's
Anyway.
bring us up to speed.
We sent you all a resolution and I needed to know what direction you wanted to go, if this was okay, and I got two responses. One said one thing, one said another. And I didn't follow you all individually. So it brought Kyle in, talk about the resolution we proposed. And to get some feedback on which direction we're going to go. They received one before. I have my own copy. I can. Oh, there. I can read it. Would that be helpful, or you guys do you acknowledge you received it?
no,
Yes.
no, I didn't, and I'll just tell you that I have not been receiving my email stuff. And
Oh.
I either need to get with Chris or John or somebody to help me, but I haven't received emails for 2 weeks or more. And so I would just tell you that.
I'll read to you what it says. Okay. Whereas on June 2nd, 2003, get down by my microphone, the Scottsbluff County Board of Commissioners formed a county airport authority. Oh my gosh.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so under the provisions of 3601 to 3622, Nebraska statutes 1997 for the purpose of having jurisdiction and control over the county's existing air facilities. Whereas Section 5 of the resolution approved to form a county airport authority refers to conveyance of real property to the airport authority for use and occupancy thereof, or so long as its corporate existence continues with title thereto remaining in the county. Whereas on November 21st, 2005, the Board of Commissioners approved a resolution to assume responsibility for insurance coverage for all buildings, excluding contents situated at the airport facility. Whereas during the 20 years since the creation of this airport authority, the authority has significantly increased the number of buildings at the airport, and by way of renovations and improvements has significantly increased the value of the buildings that existed at the time of the resolution, November 21, 2005. Whereas since 2005, the insured value of all buildings at Western Nebraska Regional Airport have increased from $4,327,000 to $35,726,000. Whereas the loss experience related to the buildings at the airport has increased the premium cost for all property owned and insured by Scotts Bluff County. Be it resolved, given the unforeseen escalation of insurance expense, the county clarified the resolution adopted on November 21, 2005, that the county will only assume responsibility for insurance coverage for all buildings, excluding contents situated at the airport, to the extent that such building existed at the time of the 2005 resolution, and that the insured value of the building has not been significantly increased by the actions of the county airport authority since '05.
Lisa, quick question on those buildings that were in effect at the time of this resolution. How much did just those buildings go up, or do they break it out? Oh, you broke it out for it. Okay.
So you can see if I match these up appropriately on the code sheet, but sometimes the explanation isn't easy to follow. You can see our insured value, because we brought this up at the last meeting, that the value of the buildings is probably the cost to reconstruct, right? This is what replace. Not necessarily the building. And I have a column there for 2023. 2005 proposed to cover and proposed not to cover. That's me speaking, yes.
We're covering them all right now, but these are proposed not to cover.
What's that?
We're covering everything right now. The proposed not to cover will be, maybe we're gonna opt those out.
Based on the resolution I just read, that we would say you'd only cover those, but then there's also the question of significantly improved. So, online,
These are 2005, the ones that are not. So these would be the ones. These are, so these are not, or are these the new addition, the new additional buildings, or are these the old?
mostly the new additional.
These are the ones that were existing, or these are.
Yeah, if they're in this
So
column.
they're in this column, this column, look, these were the existing, I'm gonna write that down.
Okay, line 16 total.
So that
Went
gives us-
from 1.2 million to 15 million. That's significant. So anyway, let's.
Everything should
That and the fire station, I think are probably the two biggest. It's
And the,
significantly improved by the airport's actions.
yeah, I was just gonna say the terminal building was not the same terminal building that we had.
Right.
16 on here.
We've almost increased 9 times.
Yeah, it's hugely
Okay.
different. And when they were in here back in June, the airport authority. Like lines 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24 would might be these old hangars that are out there that they said we don't even have to.
I don't think they added any hangars or those types of hangars. I think those are for the private.
This need to be covered.
As long as we're doing it, not blocking, I mean, they'll just keep letting us intro. Really. Doesn't take long.
Need some direction on what other questions we might need to explore.
Well, in my response, my thought process with that is, we're in negotiation with them now, obviously, since we first brought this up, is that we go back and say, you guys are in charge of the insurance on all the buildings. If they don't like that, then come back and say, well, how about if you just insure this, and I think it's a starting point for some negotiations. Because I'm afraid if we give up too much at the beginning, then we may have to add more, somewhere else down the line. And that was only my thought. But I understand your concern too, Kyle, as far as possible litigation. But if they know that we're willing to look at it and make some decisions on where it needs to be, it may eliminate the possible litigation. If we're actually, who knows? We started out with this thing. Oh yeah, I think we can handle that. Yeah, I think we'll be all right. No, we're not. That's where we've gone. That's where we've digressed.
We still have still nix that, call it, what we're already,
The resolution.
resolution, we can still take that resolution totally out of it. It's all one side. We can shut the whole thing. I think
So if we do that, now once doing that, then we insure everything. I mean, we do not insure anything. That's what the resolution says. Yeah.
So they have, there's nothing they can do if we pull that back, which I don't want. But I still think we want to get through everything.
My only concern, and I think I brought it up before, is that we continue protecting our interests out there. And I don't think that they would ever come to a point where they'd say, well, we're not going to insure it either.
Our main interests are probably the fire station and the terminal. The rest of that is income and they should take care of it. I think the terminal probably and the fire station.
But I think it should be part of the negotiation once we let them know, no, we're not going to do anything, but we'll sure sit down and visit with you about it.
They are the airport authority. They are able to levy a tax to run the airport. Let them pay us to pay their insurance. If we don't, our leverage point here is the fact that we can keep NERMA as the insurance company. That's
huge.
our power play right there.
Yeah.
If we stay,
Yeah, there's still our risk. That's the other issue. I get that forward.
All of our other buildings, we have big buildings. I wanted to tell you too, I was at the meeting last Wednesday and I told Lisa this, I don't know if you told anybody. The bond has one more year out there. They have a bond, is it the terminal bond? I think I told you. They have $180,000 payment this year and they have one more next year. And that bond goes away. There's $183,000 that they could pay some insurance with. So they're retiring that bond. And so I told Lisa, I said, if that's what they're doing, there's a lot of money we could use on that. I mean, they could.
so if they went out in the marketplace and priced insurance, it's considerably higher than what NERMA
Yes.
would. So I
Yeah.
think that's the chip right there. We'll say, hey, either you're going to pay this bill or you're going to go get your own.
Well,
They can run the place themselves. They have the authority to do so.
Well, the whole key is, regardless of how much it is, the answer or the question is, how do we get them to pay it, no matter what the premium is, whether it's through NERMA or through whoever? How is it that we can make them responsible for the insurance?
We were hoping you'd answer that for us.
And from a legal standpoint, that's the question, is how do we legally change this or update this to make them responsible? Because that's the question.
Where are the other airport authorities count?
Cities are still. See, actually, if we could split the airport authority away from us, they would not cover.
Right. So,
Because
They're part of us.
right. I guess to clarify my question, what other counties have airport authorities? And zero.
In the entire state?
stand alone.
As airport authorities.
Yes, because like, when I did check on York County, it's through the city. It's not through the county. Or municipal.
but they operate separate from the city.
Can't answer that question, but they just aren't part of the county. And I had a county contact and I was asking, because that's not part of us, it's part of the city.
And cities are welcome into the NERMA pool. No?
County only. County and aging office, ag societies,
Their insurance that they use.
they use League of
League of Municipalities.
Municipalities, they have their own. Do they have a Lerma or something like that?
Now, what do you think?
We talked about that when we first started this, about them reimbursing us whatever the, and that was not a big deal, or they didn't seem to think that that was gonna be an issue.
And you've never done it. It's kind of like,
Well, they just backed off and now we're not gonna do it.
it's kind of like buying your kid gas and having him reimburse you. I mean, it's just kind of where that went, you know, I mean, we haven't got that check yet.
Obviously have some experience with that.
And we don't have anything in writing that says that. And
No, we
that's
don't.
where it needs to all end up is what can we put in writing that has some teeth in it that means business?
I think we have to dissolve that first resolution, but we need to come up with a good resolution. First, resolve that resolution and implement the second one.
I'd be willing to show them that we're willing to work with them. Step it down 1 year at a time for 2 years, maybe 3 years, so that they can take that bond payment and start applying it to their insurance needs. And then that kind of weans them off of us. And we'll keep them on NERMA, we'll keep them so they can keep those lower rates, so they don't have to go out into the marketplace themselves. But step them down so they can start using that bond payment towards insurance costs. And then they need to go out and you said they need to be in debt in order to remain in that.
Well, that's what I understand.
Yeah,
But they are in debt. They just did $19 million loan they rebuilt.
Oh, so they got another bond.
They've got another bond.
They got several.
It isn't like that they don't have anything. They've got a pretty big bond there.
And Charlie, I don't disagree, except for the fact that with them being on our policy, it raises our risk, which costs us money as a county. If they were not included with our insurance,
Right.
our risk would go down and our insurance premiums would be less. So it would save us some money.
Depending on their
So that's what I'm told.
experience
Yeah.
modifier, so to speak.
If it wouldn't be for that, I have no problem doing it that way, but I would like to get them off of our policy, period.
If their experience is better than our experience, they could actually help us some.
Yeah.
And if our experience is better than theirs, then they hurt us some, right?
Right. And that's
So
where we're at.
could work out either way, but
But didn't, when we had whoever that they said that theirs was a liability for us, that their
Oh, yeah,
experience was worse than what ours was.
yes.
Okay.
And it's raised their loss experiences affecting us in a bad way. And yeah, got my email regarding York. And yes, it's run by the city airport authority, not a county. They have nothing to do with insuring them. Hamilton County doesn't, so. Anyway. I don't know.
What are you thinking, Kyle?
There's part of this on some advice to the board at this point. I guess my position was I just simply need to know which way the board wanted me to go with the
Yeah.
resolution.
We're a little mixed right now.
At this time, what I can do is I can try to draft both resolutions with a compliant letter to the board, directed to the board regarding my potential concerns, and the board can elect which version of the resolution it wants to go.
and I'm still of the question here as to whether or not when we get that, if that needs to be in an executive session or if that ought to be in open session like this.
The letter?
The letter and the response to that letter.
Would be legal advice to the entities. It's closed.
Okay. And then the discussion around that letter is what I'm concerned about.
At that point, it's the it's the board's decision to do with what it does with the information at that point. So, I bring it to you with drafts, the resolutions.
In executive session.
I bring it to you. I mentioned. And the board places an action item, on which resolution it wishes to proceed with, and then debate the merits of that resolution. That work? Okay.
It does. And I can tell you that the airport has sought out some more quotes. They keep checking. So maybe they are trying to.
They maybe think something's coming.
Yeah. Oh, I think they do. I think he said as much.
They've got money coming up. We like. to-
No, but did you say something about we're still talking about the insurance?
They're
Oh,
still-
yeah, we were supposed to have a
Yeah,
meeting and
we're
you
supposed
brought
to
it
have-
up.
You're supposed to put that. You.
I know, yeah.
But I think we need
But
to talk. We need to get this letter of things. Decide which way we're going to go. There's no need to have meetings if we don't have a direction to go.
Yeah.
Direction.
It may all be solved at one good meeting, you don't know.
We've had them 3 now.
I know
We're
that.
not getting very far.
Well, I like the
Very
idea
smart.
of saying, our intention is to rescind this resolution that we had however many years ago, and to adopt this one and have it in writing the way that we would want it, and then let them respond to that.
That'd be exactly right, because this first letter doesn't represent what we're in, the amount of money we're spending and what we're in right now. We need representation for what's going on.
Well, my thought process would be is if Kyle writes those 1 or 2 versions up, I really believe that Kyle needs to present that to us in an executive session so we can talk about it and strategize. Because if we're not all in agreement
And come out and vote.
to that,
I don't think discussion of a proposed resolution would be appropriate executive session topic. That's when it fall under the ground.
Can you email them to us as board members?
I can circulate them to the board and say, here are the proposed resolutions in that
I
direction.
think I like
And
that.
you're saying doesn't fall in an executive session.
To take a proposed resolution and debate the merits of
Yeah.
it.
Can we take it one step further? If and I'm thinking negotiations and sitting down with this group, letting them know that we are in the process of dissolving that initial resolution. And then maybe step 2 before the resolution is actually made is to have a meeting and find out where everybody is at with it and come up with a resolution. Otherwise, we're going to have to renew the second resolution.
So do we want to have a meeting first and of some sort, but I'd like to have those 2 options, maybe.
Well, but the second option, if we're still negotiating as to who's going to do what, then that second one is null and void. Then we do a third resolution. And I'm saying rather than tying Kyle up with a resolution that probably won't work because we haven't discussed what should be in it, we already know what we want to do with the first one. We want to do away with the first one, and now let's talk about what you want on the second resolution. Does that sound like something
But I
that's
think,
fair?
like you said, I think we need to bring that board in, sit down. Once we look at this resolution, I think each one of us needs to read it, and
You're talking about a second resolution?
Pardon me?
You're talking about a second
The
resolution.
second resolution, the one. Look at it.
Okay, but my point is that if we can write up whatever we want in a resolution, and if we, during negotiations, that changes, that resolution means nothing, then we do a third resolution. And we're just tying up Kyle here.
Send out. I know you're gonna do- I'll need to
Well, it's
look
gonna
at
be
it.
good for us, but we don't know what the airport authority is gonna
But
do with
educating
it.
concerns.
See,
Real-
without meeting with the airport authority.
not me. Take that.
What more is he going to change from what we already had? Which, I mean, we send it to you. You guys got to look at it,
I'm confused.
right? Yeah, I'm confused of what you want. We got somewhere to start here. We could meet with them now. We're looking at some changes.
You sure get the numbers?
I think we gotta go back to what Ken said in the very beginning, is if we start with this resolution or just start with enforcing the old resolution, we're still, we're starting from or the starting point is too far down the road. They
Yes.
need to back up a little.
Exactly.
So that new resolution needs to say, we're not paying for any of this. And that's the start of negotiations.
Part of the negotiation.
And then resolution number 3 is what we are going to pay for. So rather than even, but anyway, I don't want to be dead horse here, but
Well, no, we don't
Well,
need to go.
I personally didn't have a problem with paying whatever we were paying in 2005. What was it we were paying? Which is $4 million. It's 9 times higher than that. If you take what we're paying right now and divide it by 9, it's not a very big number.
I understand that, but, and I don't have a problem with that either. Besides the fact that, well, the reason I don't have a problem with that is because it's taxpayer money either way,
It is.
right?
So
Where it's coming from, it doesn't really matter. But it eats up our.
I'd rather have it shown on their
Yes,
financial
because it eats up our spending authority, our spending ability.
$84,000. I should.
numbers.
84,000. That's on the back of the second
They
page.
can levy that. They can.
You can see how it's changed through the years. It's on the second page back here at the bottom. And the year before it was just under 50,000 is their portion.
So either way,
84,000 could almost be 2 FTEs.
we were paying almost 40,000 in 2005.
I don't have the 2005 number, and they never split out the airport prior to 2021.
This year's 125.
For the general, just for property. 125 for property, of which we have 84,000 as the airport property.
Okay, sure.
And prior to 2021, we never had it separated. Does that make sense? Okay.
Yeah.
And that's not something they're doing to us. That is insurance in general. Is property claims are so, the premiums are just out of this world for everybody, right? You got a lot of buildings.
So let me be sure I understand, because
and then tell me.
so I'm understanding that resolution number 1 is the one that says we're gonna no longer be part of the original resolution.
The resolution that I had drafted and proposed was a review and revision of the prior resolution consistent with Norma's advice regarding this. The language that she'd sent us last year, she discussed the issue of trying to say that you're rescinding the prior resolution. And so based upon that and the issues that Norma had highlighted, that's why I drafted the resolution based upon the discussion that I thought I had in some direction regarding that, was to say, here is a resolution which would redefine the prior resolution, say we're going to continue paying for those buildings, but only those buildings that have not been significantly improved in value, which the intention was to capture the fire department and the
Main terminal.
main terminal. Because as you've shown, if you just leave it defined as only the buildings that existed at that time, regardless of what work the airport's done with them, that only saves you
A few million.
$5 million of property value. So that was why that was in there, was to try to eliminate a few more of those items and to bring that value further down, more in line with shifting 20 to 25 million is what I was figuring from looking at the prior numbers back over to the airport, and then keeping about $15 million on. The other issue that this board has, there's just items that sit on here that increased by factors that were fairly astronomical. Item 25, hangar H626, originally was a $41,300 value in 2005, is now being written at $500,000 insurable value, which for that structure, that seems rather high even for replacement costs. So I don't know what negotiations going on with how they're valuing replacement costs on some of these buildings, because
That's a good question.
to
And maybe
just throw out a $500,000 number at 10-time multiple on something. So everything's gone up. That's a little extreme.
That's a lot. So maybe that's where we need to just go and bring them together and in good faith and say, we got a problem. We got to make some changes and you guys need to help us look over your schedule. What's insured, what needs to be insured, what can we take off? If you're staying with us, we prefer you go off on your own.
And then make the decision that we're going to dissolve the original resolution.
We have to, no matter what we do.
Well, but if once we do that, unless you appoint somebody else that's going to insure that building, we're still liable for insuring that building, resolution or not, because we haven't decided who is going to cover what.
It's the difficulty is this board has a very difficult position. Say that you sending a prior resolution, a prior board, that authority. It's difficult to say that it exists because once someone has acted in reliance upon a position of the board, the ability to rescind something and take it away is what goes away, which is why Don's advice had been previously to say a rescission is not the proper way to deal with this, but to review and redefine.
Review,
And just
redefine. Yeah,
it's not
exactly.
NERMA, it's NACO.
NACO.
Okay.
Yeah.
I do that all the time.
But you,
But if they understand that this is what our position is probably going to be, do you have an alternative and then move from there? And then that's what that second resolution would basically say. This is how we're going to go from here on out. And word it so that if all of a sudden we start adding more and more buildings, again, that has to be defined and discussed also somewhere along the line. Rather than what we did in 2005 and then we added all this other stuff and we do a new resolution and then 10 years from now, there's another $30 million worth of building sitting out there that somebody's got to pay for.
Somebody needs to.
It's,
So-
it's just that first resolution stinks. I'm sorry. That's all there is to it. Yeah, and I'm all for that. Yeah, I'm all for that. I have no problem with that at all.
I'm a little concerned about, again, there needs to be more definition as to, okay, and then who gets to set the amount on those buildings? Is it NERMA? Is it them? Is it us or a combination? And then how much deductible on those buildings? And maybe with NERMA, it has to, if it's the same deductible on everything, then we're going to set it.
We're not set.
And say
We
that's all,
cannot set it.
that's on our policy.
No,
isn't
it's
it?
on our policy.
We
It's part
can't
of our
set it, but
policy.
we can't set it. So look what they're doing to Donald Trump. Look what he did.
But we
He
had
said he tried.
choices.
Deductible?
We had
We
deductible
can set the
choices.
deductible.
That's what I said,
Well, they
deductible.
said the value of the building.
No, well, that too.
Sure.
You think we can set the value? I think the insurance company's gonna set the value.
Well, generally speaking, what my insurance company just did was they said, this is what we consider replacement cost. If you want to insure it for a little less, you can, but no more than 10% less than what we said.
And I think that's
And
the
they
same
still
thing.
keep
that-
that.
And they would let us do that with the understanding that then if they paid a total loss, it would only be up to that amount.
We get 10% off of that, that'd be a big one.
Well, maybe
If that's
need
what
to have
they'll
that
allow
conversation.
us to do, and if that's,
They're way different than.
but somebody, my point to it is, whatever decisions need to be made, we're going to have a process to make sure that this year and the next year and the next year that we know how that's going to happen. So we don't get ourselves in a headache like we already have, is my point.
And I think we can do that if we just do it correctly, but we're not. So we don't do a resolution like the one that we're wanting to get rid of. And I think we'll be all right.
So so where are we at right now? Do we need another resolution or should we meet with the board, see where they're at and tell them, talk down these figures, where this is coming from? Maybe we'll find a whole different answer.
I
I think you need to.
my opinion and mine only is that we have a meeting with them and let them know what the intention of this board is. Because again, as soon as we dissolve this resolution,
I think they want to hear from you.
well, as soon as we dissolve the resolution that we're not going to pay the insurance anymore, then what?
Well, that's what I'm just saying.
Yeah.
They just need to hear from you to decide.
Right now, we need to
where change.
maintain coverage on
How we're
our
gonna do
buildings
this.
out there, whether they're receiving income from them or not.
And we can't rescind that resolution without a second one following it
something
up in the
exactly
next
right.
5 minutes.
What,
So do we need full board here, full board with them, or you want to send 2 representatives?
Board and board.
Board and board. So we
Board
need
and
to
board.
find one of those.
special meeting, doesn't need to be on a commissioner meeting. We call
No, that
special
probably
meeting.
would be best.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, we've been waiting to set that up.
Yeah.
And then after the holidays, right?
Yeah.
Please. Yeah.
I have to, yeah. That was kind of a dumb question.
And before elections, right?
About me. Yeah, okay. You understand?
Thank you for
Everybody on
helping.
the same page here? Okay, very good. Thank you. All right. Let's move on to the next. And that's discuss the appointments to the various boards and agencies. Does anybody have a particular one that they want to really get on or get off or whatever the case might be before we start
I
that?
think what we ought to do is look at these. We've got
Oh.
30, we got 30 boards. We have 5 commissioners, 6 of these. We're down to about that. If we can try to get 6 commissioners on the committee. So you got.
I've been low.
You have. I noticed that.
I've got eight.
Yeah, I know, and so is Charlie. I got 7. And boy, it's tough to meet them all. It's tough to get to them all.
I know. But I'm flexible up to 6 or 7.
I would give up the housing authority.
I can't do that.
I'm sorry.
Okay, let's just start down the list here. You want to discuss chairman first, and then because some of these fall within the line of the chairman of the board also.
I would like Ken Meyer to stay chair.
Is everybody all right with that? This is not something I have to do for the rest of my life. But I'm happy doing it. I probably have the time to do it, maybe more than what some of the others do. To cut some babies and kiss some ribbons or whatever it is that we got to do.
Whatever you have
I
to do.
think we're all shaking our heads.
Okay, if that's okay, I'm not, as I say, I'm not begging for it, but if somebody is interested, you're sure welcome to it. So let's start on the aging office.
Chair.
What's that?
Vice chair.
Oh, vice chair. Yes, I would like to see Mark, unless somebody else is interested in being vice.
I'd like to see Mark's fine there.
Okay, very good. All right, aging office. I currently chair that committee I would like to stay on it unless somebody else really has something that they'd like to get back on.
Maybe a conflict of interest there with your age.
Really? I may be one of the youngest ones on there, trust me. No, it's a good board. Good board. Okay. I will stay with that one.
Charlie is the alternate.
Charlie's the alternate. For
No,
that one.
no
Is that
conflict.
okay?
No conflict there.
No conflict. You're good to go on that one there. Airport Authority Board.
I'm good with that.
Or you want to stay with that one, Russ? Okay. The next one is the Building Utilization Committee. That's an at-will.
I think I've only had 1 meeting on that in the last 3 years or something. 2. Okay.
So you want to just keep
You
that?
could use another.
had the one-
You could use some more meetings.
That one has been minimal.
Jail. And
But
we went to
I'm-
the courthouse.
I'm okay with that, with the thought of still being Jay's supervisor. I think that's who that probably needs to be,
Yeah.
is whoever is Jay's supervisor. So
Good.
I'm okay with that one, if that's all right.
All right. Communications Board. Who we got on that? Mike, you're on that one?
Yeah, I'd like to keep that one.
Yeah,
We got a long ways to go in that department.
I think that's good.
Okay. Gearing Valley Flood Control. That's a biannual meeting.
Yeah, I go to.
Okay, you're gonna stay there. Health Board.
Has been dissolved.
So that's gone. That just opens you up to something else, Charlie. PAD, you want to stay on that one, Charlie? You want to pass that on? Okay.
We have an alternate on that one.
Yeah. Russ is the alternate on that one. Kaplan, I've got that one. I can stay on it. It's not one of my favorite committees, but I can certainly stay on it. I'm finally starting to learn what they do, which took a little while. Region 1, I'm on that board also. I have no problem keeping that one. And then the Region 1 Human Development, those meetings are all in one day They're kind of one right after another.
That's fine with me.
Okay, I'll stay with those then.
You got a couple you could do something with, Charlie, if you want to.
The Panhandle Disability Services, that's a annual meeting. Charlie, you
And
have,
I've never received I think this was my first year on that one. Maybe my second. But I don't recall ever getting agendas or invitations to those meetings.
can I go back up to the community action one? Is there anybody that would be willing to serve on that one? I have no problem giving it up. It's a nightly meeting. It sometimes conflicts with another meeting that I have.
Well, I have no problem, but I'm gonna have the same conflict as I do with housing.
Yeah.
In fact, we get more money from Kaplan.
Mike, are you willing to take that one?
I'd rather not.
Got to give you some. You've got 4. We got to get rid of some.
I mean, you go down the list here and you look at Meyer has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 that he's assigned to.
You just went down to 7.
I've got
You
1,
have-
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 after the
Yeah.
After you.
dissolution of
Okay,
the health.
so we're back to the community action one. Nobody else is interested. I'll just keep it.
I can.
Okay. Panhandle Disability, we talked about that one. Scotts Bluff Drain,
That's been
Mark,
me.
you're on that one.
I've been in a little bit the same situation in that they have not sent me notice, but I think I've got Steve Baird is lined up where he's going to get me on the notice list. And so since Linda's been gone, he's been attending that one, but it's only a couple per year, so
And they really
I'm fine with
don't
it.
do a whole lot until something has
Rarely,
to happen. Yeah.
unless they have a project. Yeah.
Merit Commission, Charlie, you're on that one?
So I've been on that one. I think I've met with the sheriff. I think 3 times. This is my first year on that one, and I've done it. We met 3 times in the last year. It's just an on-call basis. Usually, when they're looking to change a policy or make a hire. Anybody interested in that one? The problem, I don't really have a problem with it. It's just really sporadic. I can't plan my.
I'll take it if you want to give that.
Okay, that'd be great, Mike. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, so Mike will go to the Merit Commission. Tourism Committee,
We have an alternate on the sheriff merit.
And I'm
Yeah.
okay with
It's
being the
Mark
alternate.
Harris.
okay. Tourism Committee, Charlie, you're on that
Stay
one?
there.
You want to stay there? Very good, thank you. Weed Control Authority, that says occasionally.
I'm good with that one.
You're gonna stay with that one, Russ? Okay. I like that, occasionally. Personnel Board, Personnel, I'm on that one. Is anybody else interested in sitting on that one?
Well, I'm absolutely interested in it, but we had an issue where you were appointed for a certain amount of time.
I
Does
think
anyone
that,
remember that,
Heather?
Heather? Ken's had a position on the personnel board for a certain amount of time. Do you remember how long that was?
I don't
And when
think
it
mine
runs
has a
out?
term limit. My term limit is whether I'm still on this board. And I think that's the same with this board too. Mark, you want to?
I have an interest in
You
that.
want to do that one? All right, I'll take that off of me. And we'll put that on for Mr. Harris. And Mike,
So
you
we
are
have
the, I didn't hear what you said.
Curious if I need to make this an action item on our reorganization.
Yes. Yeah, all of these are action items. These are all they're all appointed
This
positions
Need to
by
be
the board.
separate. The personnel board is my question.
We can include it with it. I think
Okay.
it'll be, okay. And then, Mike, you are the alternate on that
Yes.
personnel board. You want to stay there? Sarah, Title III. Mike, you want to take that one? Charlie's been on it.
Also, I can stay.
You want to stay on it?
Charlie's down to 6 right now. That's what we all kind of.
Okay. You want to stay there, Charlie? All
Yeah.
right. Housing Authority Board, Russ, you said you're willing to give that one
I
up?
would be willing to give that rest of my
Okay,
They do pretty well on
Mike, you interested in that one?
Well, I got 8 right now.
it. No, you don't.
Yeah, you're
2, 3, 4 right now.
4, no.
You got 4.
2, 3, 4,
Six.
5.
4. We're not even counting that many.
Alternates don't count.
Yeah, the ones on the back page don't count
It's a
yet.
little different.
I got 5 so far, plus alternates. I picked up the sheriff and I picked
Mayor.
You picked up one.
the sheriff.
Mayor.
The merit commission?
Yeah,
I think that's the only one I think that's the only extra one you got, Mike.
I got 911, the sheriff, and on down the line here.
Yeah, but I think the only extra one you picked up was that merit committee.
Yeah.
Okay. Are you interested in the housing authority one?
No,
Well, somebody we gotta get pretty even out here.
Okay. Well, let's go through and then we'll check and we can always go back. Mapping committee, Russ, you on that one? You want to stay on that one? Okay. And who's the alternate? Mike, you're the
I am the
alternate on that one? Okay. County safety committee, that's a quarterly.
I'm on that one.
You're okay with that one, Mike?
Yep.
Cirrus board of directors, that's a monthly meeting.
I do the sheriff. I get along for it.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Morrow County Extension Board, that's a monthly meeting. Have you been meeting at all, Mike?
I've been to a couple meetings, but that's it. 'Cause I've had conflicts.
Okay,
It's,
so
it's one of those deals where I have no vote, have no say. I just sit there and listen to it myself.
it doesn't say that. That's your ex officio.
Yeah.
I think you do need to vote on it. Well, it's a misprint here. So you want to stay on that one?
Yeah, I'll stay on that one.
Okay. Regional governance group, that would be mine. I'll continue with that. And Mark, you'd be the alternate with that one. TCD, Charlie, you want to stay on TCD?
If anyone else would like to, I could jump.
Anybody else interested in TCD? I know you're not.
Well, I'm not particularly.
Yeah.
I'll set on it if I need to.
I could stay.
But that's yours, Charlie. Well, you're down to where you need to be anyway.
Okay, so Charlie, you'll stay on TCD. Thank you. Information Systems Committee?
Excuse me, you have an alternate on that. Are you going to stay, Ken?
Yeah, I can stay on that as well. That's no problem. Okay. Information System, that's as needed.
I think Charlie needs to stay on. there.
Okay, yeah. Corrections Department Contact Person, I can continue with that one. And you're alternate on that, Russ. Okay, very good.
Emergency management, so that's,
That's Mike.
Mike, that's good. I'm
Okay.
assuming you want to
You
do
want
it.
to stay on that
Yep,
one?
I
Okay.
like that one.
Yeah.
High Plains Weed Management, Russ? Stay on
Fine
that.
with it.
Okay. Panhandle Health District, that's me. I can stay on that one unless somebody else is wanting to get more involved with that one.
I probably need another one just to kind of help balance
They
things out.
they meet early morning, like 8 in the morning, 7 in the morning, 8 in the morning.
That's all right.
Want that one? Okay.
I can.
All right.
I can
We'll move that over and I can be the alternate on that if you like.
Yeah.
You want me to assign you as an alternate there, Ken?
If you would, please.
Okay.
And you're talking about the Panhandle Public.
Panhandle Public Health District, yeah. And then the Heartland Express Association. That's yours, Mark. Have you
Yeah,
been?
I'm okay with
You're
that.
staying with that one? Okay, very good. So we've got, Russ, in your concern, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 for Mark. Mike's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
I can pick up another one if somebody wants to give one up.
I'm trying to give one to you and you won't take it.
Done that housing
County
authority.
Authority, you get lunch. Lunch meeting, it's from
Yeah, it's a noon meeting.
1 and 12 to 1. It's not a bad meeting.
If you want to give her up, I'll take her.
Okay, you
Okay.
got the Housing Authority?
Yeah.
So that's going to Mike then. Okay, very good. Thank you. Okay,
Even.
pretty much evens
A
it
little
out,
better.
guys. Yeah, I think that's okay.
So these are just
Okay, these need appointments for the department heads.
Oh, on the back, yeah.
Yeah. Mark, you have Jay.
Yeah, that's fine with me.
Okay. Charlie, you have Director of Public Health. That's Paul. Well, she's gone.
That's,
Okay. Safety Committee. Mike, that's you.
Yep.
Okay. I've got Central Committee or Central Communications, Tyler. Veteran Service Officer,
That's me.
you'll stay there. Okay. Director of Public Works, Highway Superintendent, Russ. Building and Zoning Director, Mark, you want to stay with Bill? Okay. Weed Control Authority, Russ, you want to stay with that for now? Okay. Mapping is Russ. You want to stay with? You want to stay with mapping?
Yes.
Okay. Charlie, okay, you're going to be losing that one also, Charlie.
General assistant.
General Assistance Administrator.
Well, we'll still have general assistants. So
Oh, yeah.
it'll be
It'd just be a different person.
Different person.
Okay. So,
or these.
okay. All right. Personnel and Management, I've been handling that one and I can continue that unless somebody else would like to do it. Okay. Detention Center Director. That one is kind of, because that's an elected position. And I'm on there, I'm on the list. If anything goes wrong, they can call me, but I don't directly supervise Mark.
The detention center,
Yeah,
Oh, that one we
He's not
do
elected to
supervise.
be-
He's
We
not
do.
elected to
that's
that.
right. You're right. Okay. I can stay on that. All right. Bites, Charlie, you want to stay on that one?
Yep.
You want to stay with tourism?
Yes.
Transit manager, Russ?
Yeah.
And Mike, you have, Emergency management. so,
And then, so you talked about personnel director and that included management accountant.
right, that's one, yeah.
All in one.
When I do her evaluation, I do it as one,
Well, the only real change is public health went away.
okay, so Mike, you've got Region 22, you got Tim and Jay. Those are the only two, is that correct?
Veteran Service Officer and Jay and Tim.
How come we don't have veteran service on there?
It's
Oh, it is there.
Yeah.
It's up there.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, okay. So, all right. I'm sorry. You do. You've got that. All right. Everybody okay with all those guys?
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Mike has J?
No,
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
I had the
that's a,
safety
under the
committee.
safety committee.
Under the safety
Right,
committee.
right.
Here, she got short in.
I only got two. Yeah, I only got two.
That's all right. You know,
It's okay. What's it?
well, some of them,
Okay.
like Lisa's is 2 and 1. So, and I can handle that. That's not a problem. We don't have to attend a meeting every month, for these folks. So. Okay. Very good. Thank you guys. Appreciate that. And we'll make this official at the reorganizational meeting then. Okay. We'll just take a quick break here before our next meeting and move on.
I've got
Oh, I'm sorry.
You have a couple.
I'm
staff
sorry.
People.
Oh, may you approach? I'm not a judge.
You've been in court too long.
Not even close. May I approach? Really?
I just want to let you know that we have a divorce case that is on appeal. And now the appellant is suing me and Kelly and Scotts Bluff County. We're being represented by NERMA. And the gist is that his appeal was filed late, so the Court of Appeals kicked it out. And he is blaming us for filing late. He sent his notice of appeal, and it was signed for in Kelly's office, put in our box on a Wednesday. We picked it up on Friday afternoon, filed it, and it was too late at that point.
So this is public information, right?
Mhm.
And so is it Mr. Tracy?
It is.
Mike Tracy. I just seen it in I call it the green Snoop book, you know, the public record stuff.
Yeah.
And I seen that he was suing Scotts Bluff County and I wondered what that was about. So I appreciate you bringing it up.
But it has been turned over to Norma.
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
thank you.
So it's
All
getting
right.
taken care of.
Yep.
That's my main
And we
thing.
filed the motion to dismiss. So hopefully it's a nuisance claim and we can just.
Okay.
But out of that, I think that there will be some changes to how mail is received at the county for offices in the courthouse. And Kelly and I are working together, and but I think that that warrants some changes.
Thank you, Darla. Okay, with that, we will take a 5-minute break now. Thank you, Darla.
Okay.
Jay, you got something
Okay, yeah.
else? I'm sorry. Okay, thank you. Okay, we'll see you in 5 minutes. Start coming to work with me. What you got? 1 million. Angie. Go ahead, sweetheart. Go ahead. Go teach. Maybe see everybody.
Want her to go out there?
Have you guys already done a plan?
No, not yet.
Are you ready? You ready to go?
Yeah, I was just waiting for the full board.
I was gonna pet the dog. Baby. Okay, it is 4:30. We'll call the meeting to order. For public information, a copy of the Open Meetings Act is posted on the east wall of the Commissioner's room. If anybody's interested in reading it, help yourself. Roll call, please.
Meyer,
Here.
Harris,
Here.
Knapper,
Here.
Reisig,
Here.
Blue,
Here.
All rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible,
Making rounds there. So
Okay, do we have any changes or any additions to the agenda that's presented?
Yeah, I don't know, maybe just add something to the beginning, the first item of the agenda. I just want to make sure the public is okay that there's a unleashed canine in the building, in the room. Russ, why did you bring this dog here?
I think I think we can do that, can't we? I don't think we have a ordinance about it. Or any kind of, I don't think we have anything in the
The
employee
employee
handbook.
handbook say anything about dogs?
No.
I guess she can start. We can all bring them.
And I just asked the public, I guess, is anybody concerned that there's a dog in here? Is that dog vaccinated?
Absolutely. You worry more about me because I'm not.
Okay. Everybody okay with it? We don't have any policies regarding it or not allowing it.
There's no policies.
If there's somebody that has an issue with it, speak up at this point, please.
I don't have an issue. I just
I
wanted.
don't either, as long as
ask
she
a
stays
question
right
for
here
the
by
public.
me. Hi.
Millie and I are pretty good friends.
She's a sweetheart. She's a sweet girl. Okay, any other changes or modifications to the agenda? If not, I entertain a motion for approval as submitted, please.
I'll move to approve the agenda as submitted.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Is there any discussion? Record your votes. There you
okay,
go.
opposed?
Yes, please.
You have 5 yeses?
Thank you very much. I want to remind everybody that the board does reserve the right to enter into a closed session anytime that we feel it might be necessary. I don't believe we have it on the agenda, and we don't. Okay? Moving on to the consent agenda.
Can I back up?
Yes,
I
go
thought
ahead.
that we did have one on the back page.
Do we? Oh, okay, I'm wrong. We do have one. Sorry. Okay. This is just if we're into a particular agenda item and we feel that it's necessary to move in executive session, we do have the right to do that.
I just want to make one more comment. What if someone walks through the door that is concerned about the dog meat? You can put her on. You brought your leash with you? Okay.
But I guess they don't leash you in other parts of the buildings.
Does that leash control allergies? All right. I'm just concerned. She can sit over here if she wants.
Good.
She went potty before she came inside?
So
Okay.
this,
I'm done.
this an item that we maybe need to put on the agenda? Is that what we're saying in the future or what?
It's an item that I think may come before you.
All right.
Okay. If not, I move approval. I would I would ask for a motion to accept the consent agenda, please.
Make a motion. Consent agenda as presented.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Any discussion? Record your votes.
Okay to close?
Close, please.
You have 5 yeses?
Thank you. Entertain a motion to move into Board of Equalization.
I'll move into Board of Equalization.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Any discussion? Record your votes.
Okay to close?
Yes.
5 yeses?
Yes. All right. First item, discuss, consider 13 motor vehicle exemptions for the Community Action Partnership of Western Nebraska.
Hey, so tonight I have the annual list of the motor vehicle exemption requests from Community Action Partnership. These vehicles are used to deliver food supplies to the hungry, to transport youth dwelling at the runaway homeless shelter at 2426 Broadway, to transport repair supplies to low-income housing properties, and to transport staff and medical supplies to their off-main campus medical clinics. There's a total tax loss of $3,460.80. And you had asked me previously about how many vehicles they have exempt and don't have exempt. They submitted a list of 25 vehicles. 13 of those are eligible for tax exempt purposes, 12 are not.
So are there any new vehicles in this list?
No, these are their renewals. And so this is their list for the whole year.
Okay.
So if they add anything else new later on, that would be different.
Thank you for presenting that way. I like them.
Okay, I would entertain a motion to either approve or disapprove these exemptions.
I move that we approve these exemptions.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Is there any discussion? Record your votes.
Okay to close?
Please. Thank you.
5 yeses?
Yes. Next item is to receive the tax list corrections. You've all had an opportunity to look at those.
I'll make a motion to receive the tax list corrections.
Is there a second?
I'll
Second.
Is there any discussion? Record your votes, please.
Okay to close?
Please.
5 yeses?
Thank you. Next item is discussion regarding information and assessment practices for the solar project. This is a project that is being proposed to the Planning Commission. It has not been approved or disapproved at this time. And I want to make everybody aware that the things that the planning commission is going to be looking at, and that we will be looking at once we receive that that recommendation or non-recommendation, is whether or not this project meets the zoning regulation, and secondly, whether it adversely affects any of the surrounding neighbors. As far as any economic impact or anything else is really out of the line of this board and also the planning commission. So just keep that in mind if you would, please.
Okay.
Thank you.
So you don't want to talk about the
It's been brought up.
okay.
Commissioner Reisig has asked about it, and certainly free to do that. Who is that? Oh, okay. Okay, go ahead, guys.
So, as you mentioned, in a couple of the commissioners asked that I do some research, and particularly went to the Property Assessment Division of the state of Nebraska and gathered most of this information. So it's going to be straight from state requirements. If you would go to the next. So nameplate capacity tax, it replaced a central assessment that used to be done by the state on big facilities like this. And basically, the facility has to have to file an annual report with the state. And then they also have to do quarterly remittances to the state. And that remittance would be the number of megawatts that they produced times the amount, $3,518 for production. And then that in turn, 100% of that tax would come back to Scotts Bluff County. It would go to the treasurer's office, and they would disperse it according to the appropriate political subdivisions. So 100% comes back to the county. Okay. And I got some directives in here indicating, state directive 23-3, that the real property of a facility, the land associated with the facility, will continue to be assessed as it was prior to the existence of the facility. So if it's currently agriculture, it must stay as agriculture. It can't be changed to commercial or any other.
At whatever rate it was taxed at prior to the installation of the facility.
That's right.
Whether it's dry land or irrigated or whatever it is.
Right. And the real property will include, but is not limited to concrete pads, foundations, operations, maintenance buildings, road construction, leasehold value, and lease payments. The real property will be assessed at 100% of actual value. So that's that.
So,
Yes, sir.
and this is an annual payment, as it would be with the state.
Quarterly. Yeah.
They pay quarterly, but that calculation is 1.4 million approximately.
Right.
And you're saying that would be an annual payment.
I'm not sure. The Property Assessment Division, state of Nebraska website didn't indicate that it would come back to our treasurer on an annual basis or on a quarterly basis.
Okay, and I'm not worried about when it comes back.
Okay.
I'm just saying we get that amount annually.
Right.
Okay,
That's my
that's not a one-time payment.
That's my understanding. They're going to be generating that many megawatts a year. Now, I could be incorrect on that, but that's the way that I've read it.
And it's all tied to what they generate. So if they generate less, then
It's basically in lieu of property tax type thing.
Yes.
I mean, you're taxing them this way instead of through the real estate.
So they are being taxed, and that money is coming back to the county. Sure. Next slide, please. So there are some FAQs out there on the Property Assessment Division website. We don't have to go through all of these in detail. We just talked about the foundations and what's going to be subject to the real property tax. Who pays the real property tax? The landowner still does. There may be an agreement between the landowner and the lessee, but that's between them as contractual. It does not relieve the landowner of that responsibility. They talk about lease payments. Of course, it references them to seek legal counsel or the tax preparer. So, move to the next one. Was the property owner, whether renewable energy facility, pay income taxes? Again, the pad site indicates they should, seek legal counsel or their tax prepared. Leasehold value, I don't have to explain that. I think everybody understands leasehold value. And then again, how much renewable energy facility pay for the nameplate tax, which is 35 per megawatt. So next slide. Is there any additional tax of any kind on the renewable energy generation facility? For instance, on my property, real property, and depreciable tangible property, I pay property taxes and I pay taxes on income produced from that property. The purpose of the nameplate capacity tax under Section 77-6203 is to replace property taxes currently imposed on renewable energy infrastructure. So that's, that previously was state assessed. So this is the replacement. Does the county receive any other taxes from the real property of the renewable energy generation facility, concrete pads? Again, we've already talked about that. That goes back to that Directive 23-3 from the state of Nebraska that, we have to maintain the current assessment. If it's agriculture, leave it as agriculture, and we can tax the real property. How is it valued? We just went through that. And it's actually the same process for wind, solar, biomass. These rules, as far as the property assessment division, it applies to all of them. Okay.
As long as it falls in that category.
Falls in that category.
Right.
That's right. Did you go? Okay. So I wanted to provide, and I'm going to give this, I'm going to email this presentation to all of you because there's some good links in here, as well as I've got some attachments that I've embedded that I think will be very helpful for you. But anyway, these are the statutes that are related to nameplate capacity on the pad site. So, you can click on those. Once you get the presentation, you can click on those and go to the sites. So,
Got another question again. So I wasn't keeping up fast enough there, but I think it said that the property owner would pay the real estate tax,
that's right.
but then the
Facility will
facility owner or whoever would pay the other tax.
pay the nameplate
Capacity
tax.
How they do it. Right, right.
They may be in
Have
their
an agreement,
contract, have an
yeah.
agreement.
Right. As long as they get it paid, it
doesn't matter.
But you're talking, the land would basically say that tax stays the same. That doesn't change on the land. But the buildings and any newer stuff that's attached to the property, who's responsible for that? The leasee or the landowner?
I believe the landowner, because it's part of the real property.
Yeah, those are the questions we couldn't get answered the other night. I'm trying to find out, find out, pardon me?
Whatever.
Yeah, just so they do a pass through that the landowner's covered if it comes to be that way. They do a pass through.
That would be up to the landowner.
Yeah.
That's between the landowner and the owner of the project.
Give information out to tax, so that landowner needs to know that. They charge accordingly.
hopefully they've got.
Well, in this particular case, it wouldn't change. He'd be paying it.
No, it will
same.
change, because once they put that structure out there, they put foundations in.
There'll be some increase in there.
Building that store batteries or.
Okay, but again,
Which.
that's between the landowner and the,
There, whoever his attorney is, hopefully is looking out for his interest.
exactly.
That's what I
Yes.
like to do is look at.
Has looked at all of those before he signed any papers. And the landowner is one who's actually making the application. Because the company doesn't own the land. So I'm assuming by making the application, he's fully aware of all the implications that could happen or should be. That's correct.
But I do urge you to take a look at the statutes. They're not very long, but it goes into more detail about, county treasurer and all the different processes. So it's helpful.
Do you have a recommendation on decommissioning as far as what the county needs to do on this?
We're going to get to that.
Okay, all right, well,
the
I'm glad you were
information.
done. I'm sorry. That paper looked like we were done, right?
Yeah, so I embedded a number of files into this PowerPoint because I think that they're going to be very valuable for you doing your research and making decisions. Would you just open the first one there on the left, Lisa?
The Excel file,
Yes.
did I just get out of it? Check again.
Double click on it.
Yeah. So quick, why didn't it went away? I didn't- Is that it?
I think you have to get out of that presentation, maybe.
I have to have that file somewhere else. I'm sorry, Robert. Is it down here?
There
It's
you
not
go.
one
Just
of
click,
these.
just click on that.
Well, that's, we can look at that.
He wants this one.
I
and
want
I'm
to
not
show you
able
this
to
whole
open it.
list. Well, I'll explain what it is and you can, in your own time, look at it. It's a list of all of the renewable energy facilities in the state of Nebraska. And the second file is associated, the amount of nameplate capacity tax that's being paid by each one of those facilities. Okay.
And what county they're located.
What county they're located in. And there is one in there that's a 400 megawatt solar facility and they're, 1.4. There we go. Anyway, just for your information, these are where all of, there's actually one here in Scotts Bluff, the small one. You want to go down to the bottom.
Oh, do I look by
It's on
county?
Yeah.
Like that.
So it gives you an idea of the types of facilities throughout the state. And of course, if you wanted to contact any of those other counties, I'm sure they might be able to provide you with additional information. The next file is basically the revenue that's being generated through the nameplate capacity tax. For each one of those counties. Goes back for 10, 11 years. You can see.
Does it?
Hmm.
No, then didn't see the tabs. I
Right.
was following.
Yeah, no problem. So anyway, I think that's good information for you to have. Yeah, there's a couple of them over $1 million. Holt is the one that has a 400 megawatt solar facility, and that's at $1.4 million.
Oh, where is?
Right there.
Yeah, we're physically. Where is?
Oh,
So so this would be one of the largest ones, it looks like,
correct.
from those numbers.
Based on what I've seen, this would be one of the largest facilities.
Are those windmills or those?
If you go to the other list, it'll tell you if it's solar, wind. Yeah. It's, you don't have to open the forms up.
Oh, there
Solar
it is.
panels, wind turbines.
Okay.
Yeah. So you can match them up.
It's-
What's your
Oh, you may go back.
seabed column right there? What is that? The first column there, column B.
I don't know. You know what that is, Gene? Yeah. This came right off the property assessment division. I side.
And Sechula's nowhere on this.
There might be a description down below.
Oh,
Is Sechula
No, they're not.
on anywhere in here? Do we know if they're anywhere in Colorado or Wyoming?
Is that what that seabed?
Seabed.
No. Oh, okay. Valentine.
Community based, meaning owned by the community or something, or what does that mean? Did it?
Did it themselves.
Okay.
There isn't a definition of
Yeah.
Sure. Okay.
Like if Erie did one, that probably would be a seabed. Because they have their own.
Someone like Wildcat Hills Group, they could do one like a SID.
Right.
Type thing.
that's ID.
Okay, I understand.
So anyway, you'll have access to this whenever you get the PowerPoint. If you want to
Good.
back out of that, Lisa. I did provide, we don't need it.
You don't need what?
But we don't need to open the forms, but I provided the forms the facility will have to file with the state on an annual basis and on the remittances. So you can see what that looks like. I put directive 23-3 in there. I think that I had already sent that to all the commissioners anyway. I think I sent you a link to that. And then there's the calendar for the nameplate tax for the facility and the paying process. So that's good information. Did you have a question, Carl?
Nope, not yet.
Okay. So the next item, the link, if you can click on that link.
Yeah, that repowering.
Yeah. So Gene found this article, and it goes into quite a bit of detail about decommissioning one of these facilities. May not answer all your questions, but
Can you guys hear back there what, I can only hear here. Can you guys hear everything?
can you hear me?
It's a little tough. Can we turn
Yeah.
that?
Is-
Turn around, John, or anything?
He is not here, but you know what? Mine.
Wait,
Can we turn that one up in the back?
that's how you sound.
That's why I haven't been talking.
Well, I'll speak up. How about that? So
Well, if you get it up, maybe it'll help. It's a little hard.
yeah, get a little closer.
Maybe it's.
But this is a great article about. I have to get really close. This is a great article about the decommissioning process, and how it can affect the community. So I would really urge you to read this. I thought it was a really good read, and I think it might help you, when you're determining what's it going to take to decommission this project. We also saw on the website, the PAD website, that these newer solar facilities are lasting up to 35 years, not just 20 like they did, in years past. So it could be a 35-year project, quite possibly. So that's for your reading enjoyment tonight. So we can get back out.
Go back.
Yes. And next slide. So did a little bit of research on the company, and this is the website for the Delaware Secretary of State. Not a lot of information available there, but we can actually pay a fee and possibly get more information, $20 fee, maybe get the articles of incorporation and some other documents, if you so choose that you want us to do that. Okay. That's it. So hopefully that was helpful information that we're able to provide.
Thank you so much, Robert, for helping us.
Yeah.
Do you have any recommendations on decommissioning as far as what you've looked into?
I really don't.
Okay.
I would say my recommendation, as I think that NACO and the state, we had an opportunity to have a long conversation with Sarah Scott from the state this week, and also with John, what's his name? John Cannon, the director of NACO, and they both recommended that the board seek counsel from the county attorney, as well as look at and review your planning and zoning comprehensive plan. And I did ask Bill Maben to come here tonight in case you had any questions regarding that. Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Thank you, guys.
Absolutely.
Thanks for the information. Good information.
Anytime.
Thank you. Bill, do you want to come up? Just kind of remind us of what I talked about earlier, what the job is of that planning commission and what would be presented to us.
Sure, it's a land use policy board, basically. So there's a list in the statutes that kind of tells you this is what you need to use to make your decision. And as far as the decommissioning, so I was just going to get maybe 7 or 8 different examples from some of the outfits that have already started and get it. Because actually it specifically says in the statute that is the job of the county board of commissioners to come up with that decommissioning plan. It's right in the statute.
And that's included in what the planning commission is looking at.
It'll actually be a condition.
It'll be a condition, part of the conditional use.
Yeah,
correct.
That's right.
Okay.
Exactly. So, but what I'll provide at that time when we get there is this is going to be a list, and this is what these guys. I've talked to a few different fellas from down east, and they gave me a little bit of guideline already. But I'd like to get a list of at least 5 to compare them to each other and see what they're doing and
What's been happening in 35 years.
Yeah, they're saying you want to revisit it in 10 because those materials, obviously being a metal like that, you know how it is with recyclables. The value always changes, goes up and down. So maybe in 10 years you want to revisit it
So whatever it is, we'll make it so.
So let me ask you a question. Is that the county's responsibility or the landowner's responsibility?
It actually says in the statute, one of the options besides making your own is to have a 10-year schedule in there. And this is actually in the statute.
That is the county's responsibility.
Explain 10-year schedule. Yeah, so it would come back to the board at that point, and then you would reevaluate that decommissioning plan. So it actually leaves it open if you want to increase or decrease based on, would say, the market values going, because most of this is all going to be based on the recycling of those materials.
But again, the decommissioning plan is part of the use that the commission's going to be looking
Definitely.
at.
Yeah, it'll definitely be part
Right.
of the entire process when it's done. You'll base it, your approval or not, that'll be part of it.
On those conditional uses.
That's right. There'll be a list of conditions, right?
Okay. Charlie? And we have some folks out here too, I think, maybe want to speak.
I just think we need to take Robert's advice and hire an attorney to take a look at this.
I agree with that. I would just like to know, do you feel that you know the people that are moving in here? Do you know these people well enough to bring this forward into this county? Are these people that, I mean, do we know them? Do you know who we're dealing with here? All I have is what they've basically presented to me at the time of the application. I mean, we don't generally do a background check. Have we done any background checks to find out? I mean, generally we don't do that. I would say they're going into, from what they want to do is to go in with WAPA, right? But do they have a contract with WAPA? That was part of the deal, that they had to have at least get us a preliminary contract. Do we have that letter from WAPA? And I just talked to those guys today, and I said, give me something from Western Area Power. I want to see that from WAPA. And that's what I told them. I think we need to have that. So that is essentially a government entity. That property over there is owned by the federal government. Right. So to me, it feels like if WAPA has done the background on them, and if they're willing to go into contract, I would think that would be good enough. I would never say anything's good enough. I don't think everything is about money. I think it's not my decision either. I think we have some environmental issues. I don't know that everybody's looked into that. I've looked into quite a few environmental issues that these things can cause when they start heating the ground around, or heating the ground in the side of the fence and around the area, or the perimeter of those. I've looked into quite a bit of that. And I think it's worth everybody looking into it. I mean, it's on Google. There's no secrets. It's right there.
Can you made a comment before Robert started about not talking about economic impact or how that's not supposed to weigh into
It really doesn't weigh into it.
I didn't really.
It really doesn't, because if that's what's going to happen, then the next company that comes in on county ground, are we going to do a background check on those folks also? And I don't disagree with what Russ is saying. This is a little different project, but we're losing sight of what the commission's job is. The planning commission's job is to see that it meets the zoning requirements and that doesn't adversely affect anything around it. Am I right or wrong?
Yes, they are. It's about land use policy.
Land use policy, period.
Specifically.
If they want to put a fireworks factory there, that's really not for us to say yes or no.
As long as it's on our list.
As long as it meets within that ordinance, then we either approve or disapprove it, I guess. But it does have to meet the requirements of the planning commission, and they haven't even approved it yet. So
I would
it's still.
be curious. I would like to have a copy of that comprehensive plan that you were talking about before. That it fits. You said it fits within the comprehensive plan.
Sure, it's just a general. It's like a general land use policy is what it is.
Okay.
I'll get you a copy of it.
Okay, thank you.
And I think they're becoming more and more with the windmills or the solar farms throughout the whole country. I'm thinking but maybe I'm wrong, but
They're generally in the industry. It's pretty much always going to be in the counties anyway, outside of the town or a
well, if
city.
you're looking at 400 megawatts,
Yeah, generally you're not going to be too close.
that's 4,000 acres, and you don't have that in town.
It's the way that most of the counties are doing it because it does fall in a rural area. So if you're in a town, it's obviously it'll be like a commercial or an industrial district, but most counties are so vast that you don't have those kinds of areas.
Again, whether or not it affects the neighbors or affects anything going on. If you've got a residential or a rural residential development and somebody wants to put a hog farm in, obviously that could be detrimental to that particular area. And that's the reason that's in there.
It's a use in ag zone.
That's the reason it's in there, right?
We're seeing how this is being handled. I don't know that we could even stop a hog farm.
I was involved in one of those once, and yes, we can. Put it down.
Keep that open mind.
We can and we did.
One of my concerns was when I read through the conditional use permit was the road maintenance agreement piece of it. They said that they would take pictures before they started the project, take pictures after they after they finished the project, and then, that they would pay for any damage done or make the repairs to correct any damage done. And it wasn't real specific exactly what they would do. So, and then I got to thinking about the project we did out there to resurface Stegall Road, and I think we just need to. One thing I'd like to see in that conditional use permit when it comes back is a more defined maintenance program there.
And I think what they submitted to us was sort of a general.
Yeah.
And I believe they have talked to Steve already about it.
Okay.
So, and I would suggest the same thing. I mean, I totally agree with going out and definitely recording where there might be any areas that are, deficient now, and then you go back after it's done and then you mark any new areas. But I'm sure they can come up with something.
Yeah.
And that's part of the whole conditional use, this request is you can ask
Conditions.
these things. That's right.
You can
You're
put conditions on it.
You're specifically tailoring it for their use.
Yeah.
Right.
That's
why-
what I liked about.
That's
this
why I
process.
think that we had tabled the other night so the conditions can be passed over to zoning and then we can. And you guys can add any new ones that you want too.
Absolutely.
I would think we need to put some conditions on there.
For sure.
So, to start with, so you don't come in as a low level thing and then we bump this thing way up. I think everybody needs to look at what part you need to have.
I think it might be best to maybe hire an outside counsel, maybe not the county attorney. I think he's swamped. He's not here tonight. But hire outside counsel that has done this for another county somewhere else. And before I forget, one of those, that road is gonna, the damage isn't gonna show when they finish the project. The damage is gonna be 2-3 years after they finish the project, after the, freezing and heating and all that kind of stuff happens over a couple of years.
Well,
So that's definitely a condition that I'm gonna
I would
keep
say
an eye on when we finish this permit.
when we finish Stegall, or when we had done Stegall, Steve can verify, we did a minimum repair to that road because it's a minimal usage road. And it's minimum. And now we're gonna put it into a maximum situation. And I just want to be sure that the people of this county aren't throwing money out there and then, it isn't, somebody else is getting the benefit. I'm sure you
want
can
to be
do
sure
a
that the
time.
people of this county are getting the benefit of what with money we just spent.
Probably there'd be a way to do a time frame on that. I would
Right.
imagine.
My understanding is we can kind of add any conditions that we see fit.
For sure.
And I hope that the planning commission gives us some recommendations as to some of the conditions that they think should be part of this. And then we may have some of our own
And that's-
as well.
that's the
And that's
general
the way
policy.
the process works, I think.
That's
The
exactly
planning
how it
commission gives us some thoughts about conditions, and then we might add some of our own. And then, yeah, I think that's correct. One thing that the company did say the other night was that they recognized some of the issues with Stegall Road and that they were going to have their vendors and the trucks that they could have some control over come in the south way through Banner County. But again, I'm not sure that anyone has total control of any of that.
I think we're going
And
to speak
so,
on that next. That's a good point.
but anyway, that's what they said the other day when they were here at the planning commission. And, but how that's exactly enforced, I don't know. But, the other thing is if we really get $1.4 million each year in revenue, that should help somewhat to the, maintenance of Stiegel Road. I don't want that 1.4 million simply to pay for all the expenses that this project might develop for us, but some of it could be used for that purpose, to take care of those roads, and certainly should help us get Stiegel Road possibly up to the next level of quality, and
rather than a Band-Aid of full surgery.
yeah, rather
Get it
than
done.
the
Yeah.
minimal maintenance
So
road.
that's what we've done.
So
Yeah.
anyway, I would hope that overall that could happen. And again, the truck traffic is going to be in the first 2 years during the construction phase. After that, I would suspect that it would be then taper way back and be a lot more minimal compared to the construction phase.
I think the truck traffic is in the first 2 or 3 years.
They made it sound like most of the development was going to happen in 10, 11 months. So I assume that any other developer would be doing the same thing too.
Okay.
Well, I'd be interested in a work session with the board and a lawyer that's familiar with these types of projects, and maybe another planning and zoning representative from a county that's done something like this to kind of help us walk through that.
We also have
a work session to.
We have, we're going to their roads as well. If this stuff's coming out of Colorado, it's anywhere south of Highway 88, it's going to come up through Banner. These, so they can only send one because they only have 3, so they can't send a quorum. Well, I guess they could send a quorum. We'd have to open up 2 meetings, but I think we need to bring in Banner County as well until we get through some ideas here, how we want to proceed with it. But I think everybody needs to, we need to be better informed than what we were. No way I can learn this in 5 days. I think that this board should have known about this a year ago when this contract was signed, a year and a half ago when this contract was signed. I got a copy of the contract. It was signed in August of 20. It was written in 2022 and signed in August of 2023. I would have thought by now this board would have known about this project for a $350 million project. And so until we know about it, we're not going to jump right in bed with it.
Well, I think the company that submitted the conditional use permit probably understands this is the first step in the or one of the first steps in the process. Is we're gonna come up with our conditions and move forward.
I believe so, and I believe that planning commission the other night was kind of the first step that starts the process for the planning commission to deal with it, and then give a recommendation to us. And then at that point in time, then we may need some time. Of course, now we're able to go in and review all this stuff Robert's provided. Plus, we're going to have some time to be thinking about whatever other conditional things that we think that we need to address. And I agree that this issue, we need to have some council involved with us. This, if there's ever one, this is a big project, and it can affect many different things, probably many things we're not even thinking about at
Well,
this
guarantee
point.
you're right. But if we did that and brought somebody in that was knowledgeable, that could highlight 30 items, and we could concentrate on those items instead of 177 pages, that's pretty
Right.
intimidating to try to get through that. I couldn't get through it in the 5 days that I knew about this thing. And so there's too much to get through there. And I asked to have that table the other night, and they did. And we need to get some opinions and get it narrowed down to where if we have 10, 15, 7 items, whatever it is, that we concentrate on those and get them resolved before we move any further forward.
Seems to me that that's kind of where we're at
That's what I'm saying.
at this point. Yeah.
But I don't think
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
I think we should ask the planning commission to hold back on this until we've done that, so they can see what issues that we're concerned with, and then we can move forward with that at that point.
You're saying that we need to do our research before the planning commission either approves or
Yeah.
disapproves
I
it?
agree. I don't think we should move anything forward until, because
And
we
all-
don't know what's
and-
in this thing, until we know, we're not.
I
gonna do like
understand what you're
Nancy
saying, but
Pelosi
that's
did.
backwards to the normal process.
Exactly.
He's gonna say.
That's exactly.
Generally, known about a $350 million project and gave them some guidance before now. We just found out about this.
Well, I understand that, but either way, the planning commission is always going to give their recommendation to us, generally speaking, and maybe one of the planning, certainly if I was on the planning commission, I'd be saying, we're urging the commissioners to hire outside counsel, outside professionals to help walk you through this process. This is above and beyond the normal scope of doing business up here or for them.
For them as well.
And I hope that they would tell us that.
That's where we were left out in the cold on this thing. I don't appreciate it. It's too
Well-
big of a thing to be left out.
Is it normal for the planning commission to pass a conditional use permit and then have us make additional conditions? We can send it back to them. We don't have to take the first.
You can do it. You can make those conditions to be whatever you want. All they're doing is giving a recommendation. So you're not bound by anything.
We can
that
either
they-
add to it or take away from it. Yeah.
What we're, this company can come forward and say, look, you've already passed the planning commission. Why are you guys not passing it?
That has to come to us before.
You have the final decision, Russ?
We have the
We
final
definitely
decision.
do.
Well-
Definitely do.
Yeah.
They make their recommendation just like any of the other boards that bring stuff to you,
I understand.
but the final decision is on you guys.
So they're just going to bring a recommendation to us with what information they have, with whatever information they gather
We're gathering right now.
that you're doing right now. That recommendation then comes to us for final approval. We can take away
Yours
from
is the approval.
exactly.
They're not bound by.
We
They don't have
can
any.
we can either add to those conditional uses, we can
Change them.
whatever needs to happen.
And that's the way it happens with the ones prior to this.
That's the
is that
procedure.
They bring to us a recommendation. They send to us a recommendation. And in this case, it's just that the whole thing is tremendously bigger than anything else that we've dealt with from them for years and years.
I don't think it's ever happened. I think this big.
Right.
This is like building a dam or something. Getting real.
So just to maybe clarify, this is different than the personnel board, where if we make a recommendation to a policy change that they've already sent to us, we have to send it back to the personnel board. They have to approve it before it comes back to us. In this situation, if we make any additional conditions, we don't have to send it back to the planning commission for them to okay it.
We can make whatever changes we want
So it
before
can
we
come to
approve
us
it.
and then and then the buck stops here.
We can dissect it, change it, whatever has to happen.
Don't you feel those changes should already be into our planning board before we go?
I would feel better about that, just so the planning commission
So we're-
learns this process as like we're going to learn
I'd
this
like
process.
I'd like for everyone to read out of the same book.
Yeah, I do like that. But
Well, hopefully they are going to have all that same information available to them that we would have to us, I suspect. And those things that Robert provided tonight that we can be looking through. Certainly, there's no reason why that you couldn't provide that information to them as well if they want to go through it. So,
Okay.
all right, good.
Okay. Bill, thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anybody in the audience that wishes to speak? Go ahead. Don. Just name and address, please, if you would.
So I'm Don Lease, live out in Banner County. My address is 2068 Road 73 in Bridgeport. I know that's confusing.
It's okay.
We've got Baird addresses here.
Yeah, okay. Well, 9 or 10 zip codes in Banner County, so it's kind of funny. I'm here representing myself. I am not representing anyone in Banner County, including the Board of Commissioners. I am, however, part of the Board of Commissioners, and I will give a report on what information I've gathered and what you all have talked about tonight to the board tomorrow night during our meeting as part of our board presentation. If you don't mind, I'd like to ask a couple questions of Robert back there. Did I hear you say, or maybe explain it with you, that nameplate capacity is not, they don't tack that based on nameplate capacity alone. If they're not producing energy, then they tax it.
Based on the number of megawatts.
See, I was under the impression that it was based annually on nameplate capacity times $3,518. And they paid that whether they produced a kilowatt of electricity or not, so.
And I could be wrong about that, but based on the information that I've read, it looks like.
So that was the only question I had for him. The other thing I'll point out is you as a county entity gather taxes for a lot of individual entities and pass them along through your treasurer. You're only going to receive your county portion of that 1 point whatever million dollars. Your 40 whatever, say 40 cents. So $400,000 is all you're going to get as a county entity to fund the extra law enforcement, the extra emergency response, and fix the roads. You're not, the schools are going to get, again,
Biggest share.
the airport's going to get it, the ESU is going to get it, the college is going to get it, NRD is going to get it.
That's a good point, that
That's-
1.4 gross, but then gets split up by the taxing entities.
By the taxing asking.
They should have set that up in statute so the county gets it. The county's usually the one that has to deal with it. I have concerns in any county. If it was in Banner County or Morrill County or Kimball County, I'd have concerns with whether that county has emergency response capability and emergency planning for this kind of program. That's going to be a serious thing. Now, I understand they're going to do 200 megawatts of battery back, storage. Is that correct?
That's what I read.
That's right.
So is that part of the nameplate? Yeah.
No, that's
That's not part of it.
Okay.
my thought would be if it's produced and then stored, has been produced, so it needs to be taxed.
No, I think that's a legit.
I think
that's something
these are so many things that
Yeah.
need definition at this point. That's why I don't think any of us in this room can answer these things. I think we need somebody in here. to
Yeah,
talk to.
I think there's some things we don't know
But
for sure.
correct me if I'm wrong, that's a state statute, not a county
It is a state
regulation.
statute. Yeah.
So they would have to follow whatever guidelines the state has already set forth. in
Right.
it.
And Robert was referencing a Department of Revenue directive that was actually just passed or superseded another directive January 9th of this year that kind of explained some of that. But I had some questions, and I'm sure you can call the state and they can elaborate.
Right.
Usually they have an idea of what they intended anyway.
Okay.
So, my other concern, and this is as a Banner County Commissioner, is, I hear you talking about if this comes out of Denver, they're going to come down Highway 85, they're going to go down Highway 88, and that portion of Stigl Road that's in Banner County, it's going to be our responsibility. I heard a lot of different numbers in the amount of truckloads that they might offer. I have no facts. Do you know at this point how many tons?
We don't know. We know as much about it as you do right now, Don. Okay.
Okay.
As I say, it hasn't even been passed by the planning commission yet. They're still, so a lot of this stuff, I don't hate to use the word, but we're kind of getting the horse in front of the cart in front of the horse with some of this. And those would be good questions to give to the planning commission to, for research to be part of their conditional use.
Okay. Did they submit any kind of specifications for what their intent is, I guess? More than just a location, a basic drawing? No.
Again,
Okay.
the two things that the planning commission needs to look at is, does it meet the zoning regulation to go from whatever it is that they're asking to do. Secondly, is there any adverse conditions to the neighboring properties? Those are the two things that they're looking at. And whether, and I'm assuming that this is going to go farther than that because by the discussion that we're having here, but it's going to go farther in the fact that this is something that we're not splitting off 5 acres for a house and a barn. It's goes way beyond that scope. Okay. And I think it'll be scrutinized. I think it'll be looked at. It'll be looked at the planning commission with the kind of questions that you're asking. And those same kind of things will be coming to us before we either approve or disapprove the project. And that's a great time to bring up those concerns and those kind of things.
We lack leverage in Banner County. We're not zoned. We have a comprehensive plan, which is a step, but we have absolutely no zoning.
Okay.
So as a county entity, we do have some control by statute over roads. We can allow heavy traffic or we can not allow heavy traffic.
Yeah.
One of the things I would ask that you would suggest to Situla is, did I say that right? Yeah, okay. Well, the company that's proposing this site is that they please come to us and we'll try and negotiate some use of that road if it's in their intent to do it. But I can tell you, we'll have no leverage
It was my understanding that they were meeting with the planning commission also with questions. This company. Is the company meeting with the planning commission at all? They were here. Okay. Okay. Thank you. All right.
But let me say something, Don. I know you weren't at the planning commission yet. I don't think I've ever been so blindsided with something like this. NPPD came out here a year and a half ago and setting this off, or came in here and told us that they were going to put a loop in their power line. They came to us. They didn't go to our planning commission. They didn't go out to our patrons. They came and told us they were going to do it, told us how they were going to deal with our patrons, told us a lot of things. This company has not called one county commissioner, not met with one county commissioner. And they've had contracts for over a year. And we're supposed to make a decision in 30 days here. If that would have cleared the planning commission the other night and brought it to our desk without any, this is the hope of it to get it through. Like, I think we need to represent our people a little better in this county. And we need to represent your county a little better.
Well, I appreciate that, and you're not obligated to do that. I do appreciate your thoughts. I think that's all. I think Russ knows about some of the work that's already been done in Gage County by Emily Haxby.
Yeah.
I don't know if any of you guys are familiar with her. She looked at this extensively as a Gage County supervisor and has some pretty clear stuff about four different sizes of these solar farms, how to set them up, do all the pre-work, do all the why they're in their work, and then do all the when they discontinue operations, how you do that. It makes a lot of sense to me. She's talking about taking a 10-year, making them put an account, open an escrow account, put money in that escrow account. And that's what I'd like to see them do for Banner County as far as the road is concerned. Is you can take pictures and you come back 5 years later, 10 years later after you've done it, doesn't.
Those roads won't break down.
And our budget's a pretty small one out in Banner County as far as the county's concerned. That'd be like, to redo that section of Stegall Road would be like 6 or 8 years of work. All we could do is bond it and hope we can get it done.
Well, you got a grant on it the first time.
Yeah. Well, the state gave us that road
that
first.
stopped at Scotts Bluff County, I might add.
Well,
Just to refresh your memory.
thanks for your, I wouldn't know.
Yeah, I know that.
Thanks
Congratulations, by the way, for your appointment.
Good to see you, Don.
Good luck. Good luck. Kevin, would you like to? Kevin Stalker is here. He's our representative for the Public Service Commission, our commissioner, and has been called and asked questions and is very involved with everything that's happening in our area. And like I told Kevin before, I didn't even know who the other commissioner was. So we do appreciate the interest that you take and the questions that you ask and your concern about what's going on out here. We really, really do. So I would invite you to the planning commission meeting or whatever happens. And
So I thought, let's
just here.
state line
counties. So I think I've heard nothing except wise judgment tonight. I think you're moving in the correct decision, and making the correct decisions. Now, my understanding is when the planning commission brings a plan and you don't approve it, you can volley it back to them. They bring it back and you can volley back and forth. Until you really tailor a plan that everybody gets the most benefit from.
That's our alternative. The landowner in this particular case makes his plea to the planning commission. Planning commission does what they want to do. Once it comes to us, we have one or two choices. We can give it back to them and say, bring us something different, or we can make our own changes and either approve or disapprove it. So we have a little bit of flexibility with that. That we don't, as Charlie brought up with some of the other committees that we deal with. But yeah, you're absolutely right. Is there anybody else in the audience? Yes. Could you state your name and address, sir? Thank you very much.
Good evening. My name's Kevin Wolverton, address 160490 County Road 37 in Baird. It is Scotts Bluff County, right on the border there. So that's another one of the situations, Scotts Bluff County with Baird address. But I wanted to share a little bit of information. I'm actually working with a solar panel manufacturer. Some of the questions, concerns that have come up in conversation. Number one, the decommission of these solar sites. There are companies in the U.S. that are specifically set up to decommission and recycle all the parts. The company that I'm working with has got a program. If it's a usable solar panel, they'll come, package them, ship them, where they're actually sending them off to Africa, and they've got villages that they're powering, so they are using these panels, they're reutilizing the resources. So that is number one. So there are good plans. Instead of these things going landmine, they are recommissioning them or repurposing them for other things. One of the things that I continue here is, the construction phase on a project this size. We actually just did a feasibility study for another project, similar size, 400 megawatt project. Technology, one of the things that Robert said is the technology on these panels, it's come a long, long ways. The company that, and I'm not here to sell you guys panels, you guys aren't going to be the ones buying them, but just to talk about the technology and the improved efficiencies on these products. The company that I'm working with, they've got a 30-year wraparound warranty on all their solar panels. To his point, it's no longer a 20-year program. The company's backing those fully over 30 years. We, in that side-by-side feasibility study, the panels that we're using are 20% smaller for the same 700-watt solar surface, the face. So on that side-by-side comparison that we just bid, it would require 66,000 fewer panels on that 400 megawatt site, the equivalent of 800 acres that are freed up. So when we're talking about all these things about, what is it going to look like in the county? Is it going to, how is that going to look to the neighbors and things like that? There are ways out there in the technology. Depending, I have not heard of this company. I've not worked with this company in the past, but just a couple things that I wanted to share there. Let's see here. And again, obviously not trying to sell you guys, but I just want to reiterate the technology and some of the things that I've heard in the decommission of those things. I'd open it up for questions if you guys got anything around
I do have
those
a
items.
question. So generally, do you get a contract with WAPA before you build the plant, or how do you do this? I mean, we have not seen anything from WAPA on did they request this to be built because they're short of power? I didn't realize WAPA was short of energy.
I will tell you that across the state of Nebraska and across the center part of the U.S., I think Don just mentioned it, you're going to see these plants coming in. First time in Nebraska's history, we're going to be short power. So as you look across the state, this is coming, whether or not we're resistant to it. You're going to see more and more of these types of renewable energy sources coming.
I don't want to be resistant. I want to do the right thing.
Sure.
But I want to know
I agree.
that we have a usage for that power. We don't build this thing out here and we get paid a third of what the tags are on here.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's
one.
one.
Planning on the next 20 years to utilize all of it. If this is the right size, and we're going to utilize all of that's going.
Right. And I don't know where the demand is going. I don't know if they're sending it down the line, whether they're using the transmission, if it's staying to support Nebraska Power. I don't know any of those details, and it sounds like that's something the commission's looking at as well. Where's the power going?
We don't know, and it's certainly none of our business. I mean, as long as I know that WAPA is requesting this power, that they have a contract with WAPA, I'm a lot more have to vote for this than I would be if we're just building pie in the sky here. You know?
Sure.
Well, in answer to your question, years ago, and Don, maybe you remember the meetings that we had with the people that were putting up the windmills. I think one of the questions was, well, am I going to get a cut on my electric bill because it's on my property? No, none of that power stays where those windmills are. In fact, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think part of this was going to head out to New York and to some other transmission lines. It wasn't even going to stay in this area.
I don't think it can travel that far.
Well, however far it was, I don't.
No, somebody had told me.
I know you can only transfer.
Yeah, it was going to go a long ways from Banner County. I can tell you that much.
Oh, they can send it all the way down the line. They can send it all the way to California.
That was my understanding that night too. I was surprised as to the distance that the power was going to go to. So no, the guy's farm that it was on wasn't going to get a discount in his electricity because the windmill was there. So there's a lot of misconceptions about it, Kevin, and I think the more we get into it, the more we're going to understand it, the more the planning commission is going to understand, and the more information we're going to have to make I hope, a good decision on it.
But I'd love to be involved with conversations with the company that's developing, if there's any opportunities to sit
Are
down.
you involved with this project?
Not at all. No. I heard first of it on KNB, so. Yeah.
That's how we learn. We got to listen to the
Yeah.
radio to learn because nobody comes in with anything.
I've-
It's pretty neat.
Kevin, do you have a card?
I will get you contact.
I will give you his contact information. I have it. I'll just text it to you.
Okay.
He gave it to me, so.
Yeah. Manufacture overseas. They're not a Chinese manufacturer. Everything is manufactured in Europe. They are looking at 2 plant locations in the United States. They are currently working for a location in the state of Nebraska, which is really a neat thing. And they're also looking at a plant for manufacturing in Texas. So again,
Wow.
you guys aren't buying. If you guys are writing the check, that would be important to you. But just to know where the actual
That does.
products are
Charlie
coming
was a
from.
little concerned with that. Manufacturer, which is a good point to bring up. It's not handled.
But would you deny the permit if it wasn't manufactured where you felt it needed to be manufactured?
I don't think it's fair.
Okay.
It can.
Well, there are some, if you want to consider what's impact to the community and the globe. This 200-watt battery that's going to be storing all this. Was it 200 watt, 200 megawatt?
200 megawatt.
200 megawatt
200
battery.
megawatt battery. 200 megawatt. What they're gonna store.
That's a lot of lithium, I'm guessing. And can we say in the conditional use permit that battery needs to come from a lithium mine that doesn't use child labor? Can we put that kind of stipulation in the conditional use permit?
You guys can read it over everyone. I'm not saying it's gonna make a leap.
So you got it as the attorney.
Well, the advantage of this is being funded with private finance or using the Inflation Reduction Act funding.
I think
Which they're gonna have some requirements where it's gotta be American-made product or it cannot be Chinese-made product. So I think there's gonna be some stipulations in the development.
Some questions for the company.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I think one other thing that I should mention here, and that's that in the overall scheme of things, these farms, I'll call them, or plants or windmills or whatever the case is, are going to be built and they're going to go somewhere. I consider this a significant possible economic development item and tool. We still need to do it right. We need to be sure that things aren't going to harm our area, our community, and even that area specifically in the southwest corner of our county. And I want us to be able to do it right. Russ has certainly got us to start to do some of our homework that's going to need to be done, and I appreciate that. But in the overall scheme of things, it's going to happen. It's going to happen somewhere. It happens to be convenient for them at this location, or they wouldn't have chosen. That plant is adjacent to or right under the large transmission line that they can tap into. And so I hope that we find it to be something that's compatible with our community, compatible with our county, and that we can make it work as some economic development for our area. Because I believe we can do that. I believe that it can be a positive thing for our community, and I think the positives will probably be able to outweigh the negatives. But I recognize there is some potential negative things, and we need to be sure and address those in those conditions.
I don't have a problem once they've been addressed.
Right.
All those questions.
Right.
As long as we're doing it within the scope of the job of the planning commission and what our job is, folks. That's if we can just keep it in line here and not go too far out.
Right.
Mike, do you want to be any part of this conversation? Yeah.
I'm just listening.
I'm
just listening.
Okay. Kevin, thank you so much for your information. Very informative. Thank you, sir. Okay, is there anybody? Yes, sir. You give your name and address, please.
Absolutely. Preston, 3719 Five Oaks Drive, Scotts Bluff.
I'm sorry.
Reginald Preston,
Thank you.
3719 Five Oaks Drive in Scotts Bluff. So by the name, you can tell I'm a member of the family, and I'm here speaking on behalf of myself as opposed to the whole family, and certainly not on behalf of the company that was here presenting last week to the planning committee. I grew up farming right there as a kid, working for my dad. And then I am now back farming just to the west of there with a foot on both sides of that state line right there. And in between those two times, I was an officer in the Navy in the submarine business, which means I've got interesting exposure to nuclear power production, battery storage, because as you know, we have batteries on board our submarines. And even for a brief stint, I studied wind power generation and distribution in upstate New York as part of a graduate studies project. So all of that to say thank you for the process. I really appreciate the discussion here at this board and your strict adherence to you have a job to do and you're going to do it. And you're not going to twist the wires up and get ahead of anybody else. So I appreciate that. I don't know how often the commissioners here thank you, but you got that from me. Appreciate the fast action on this. Mr. Reisig, I certainly appreciate your sense that you were blindsided by this, but as anyone would know, anyone doing business in this county isn't always going to come to the county prematurely. That process exists, and they came to that board that exists to support all of you and then bring you the product. And then there's been plenty of discussion that I won't rehash here. So we're happy to be a part of that because we are your neighbors. We will continue to be your neighbors as you are our neighbors, right? So there's certainly no intent on at least my behalf to be a bad neighbor. And we want to honor that process that you have in place with the company that has approached you for that permit. As an aside, if you want to compare it to something, take a look at any other major industry that we do have in this county and how would the permitting process go there. And a number of those, the biggest, grandest one might be the sugar company. Would you permit the sugar company to come in and do what they do if they were not doing it currently? So I'll just close by saying whether it's Nebraska beef or Nebraska wheat that we're shipping out and we're going to benefit from export from this county, or Nebraska electricity, I will be happy to be a part of any part of it that helps this county thrive in the way that it has been thriving, especially should there be some additional money that goes into the coffers for the good of the community in accordance with the process.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. Anybody else? Okay. If not, we're going to move on. Thank you, everybody, for your comments. Very appreciative. Need a motion to come out of the Board of Equalization, please?
I move that we go out of the Board of Equalization.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Record your votes, please.
Okay to close?
Close, please. Okay, moving on to Road and Bridge. Discuss and consider the contract with Simon Contractors for project C79-145, structure C 007932410.
Yes, so back in November, this is the project, County Road M project, Northeast of Minnetonka, that we approved the bids on, first meeting in November. This is just simply the contract that Simon's likes. They've signed their part to do the work. So that's all we need, is just a motion and signature on these three. One is for us, one is for them, and one goes to the engineer. So
At the amount we agreed to,
yes, for an amount of
45.
Yeah.
All right. Is there a motion for approval?
I'll move to approve the contract with Simon.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Is there any other discussion? Record your votes, please.
You have 5 yeses?
Thank you. Okay, next item, could discuss and consider the options for Bridge 23120 located on Cook Oil Road. Steve?
Yeah, so at the last meeting, I approached you about how condition of that bridge there at Cook Oil. Suggested maybe to run out there, look at it, see, get your thoughts. It was one maybe for an option to vacate. But now after last week, I had a pleasant surprise of, maybe I shouldn't have said that so soon. I was notified at our superintendent meeting last week that bridge was accepted for a bridge match.
Ooh.
So the state is looking to give us $250,000 to replace it.
And we have to pay 250,000 too? Does that match?
We would have to pay whatever we have to pay everything up front, then they reimburse us.
Do we have to spend a certain amount, or does that have to be, so we can?
That's
spend
the amount that
50,000?
I haven't seen the agreement yet. They said they were in the process of making those and emailing them out. That's the amount that's in the application. So, if it's 550,000, county would pay 300,000, whatever it may be.
Okay.
I don't see that. I hate to say, but I hate to speculate, but I can't see this box costing as much as, or as being as hard as what the County Road 5 bridge is. There's no water. It's it's over a canal. They don't have to reroute the creek, any of that. So
And if it was 300,000, it'd be 150 for us? Is that,
yeah, well, no,
I mean, is it an actual match up to?
it's up to. So if it's only 400,000, then ours would only be the 150. But it's going to be more than that, I'm sure. So, in comparison, when we did Enterprise and Sunflower, the Enterprise was the bid back then. When we did that in 2018, I believe it was. That one there was at 269,000, and then Sunflower, the bid on that was 365. So, if you add 40% to those in the last few years with cost of that, that brings this box up to just a little over 500,000. So, it's tough to give you a real price on what that's going to cost, but a contractor was going to see if he could give me some sort of a budget type number for that.
So what you're suggesting is that if we get the bridge match, that you would then propose that we would go ahead and do it at that lesser cost to us. Is that right?
Yes, I would propose we go ahead and do it. I don't think we want to turn back that money. They won't let you pick a different bridge. That's out.
So specifically for this bridge.
Specifically this bridge.
Right.
I don't think we turn it back. That might set a precedent to them that we don't need their money.
Okay.
There's been 8 rounds of this being the 8th round that they've done. We've been picked for 6 of them now. So,
Good thing.
yeah, it
Okay.
is. It is.
I would entertain a motion for either approval or denial of.
I don't know that we need a motion. I think
No,
it's
if you just-
get an
Okay.
input.
It just says discuss and consider.
Yeah,
So
just, if you want
when
to
I
go
see
ahead
that,
and
then we have to vote.
proceed
Us
with,
safe.
Excuse me?
placing it.
That was just to keep us safe if you take action on something, so I'm ready.
Okay.
No action today?
Thank you, Steve.
Thank you.
All right, next under general items, discuss, consider the approval of the 2023 wage comparison for the communication center. Tyler and Troy. All right.
This issue got tabled from the last meeting. There's some questions that I couldn't answer at that time.
So, try to get those answered at this time. So basically what you have on that front sheet is our worksheet that has the counties that we compared to and what they're starting and ending wages was. There's some questions on the last comparability. There was some counties that probably shouldn't have been on there. We didn't realize at the time because they were ones that we compared to before the Eastman comparison was done. So we went back through, Lisa and I went back through the Eastman comparison, took out the counties that were exempted from his and put in the counties that were, and used those numbers, which we already had. A little history, shortly about end of February, 1st of March, we knew that the comparability is going to be done. So Tyler started calling around his counterparts in all of these PSAP centers to find out what their current wages were for dispatchers and dispatch supervisors to establish those numbers. Once we got those numbers, and then it was a waiting game for the union to do theirs as well, which in this case, the communication center did not do their own comparability, so they were going with our numbers that we got. They didn't have anything to compare it to or to dispute our numbers. The previous one we submitted, we did remove York County since they were not in the Eastman array. The rest of these counties are. And Lisa and I sat down and created a worksheet to get the clear numbers. The one thing we did previous is we always compared to the median. When we reviewed Eastman stuff, he always goes with the midpoint. So we went with the midpoint on this one as well.
The highs and lows.
Right.
Right.
So his recommendations always use the midpoint. Previously we did medium, so this time we did midpoint, and came up with the numbers. The next two pages would be a breakdown of the actual scale from the lowest to the highest on the step, to give you an idea what each step
Dated.
So it gives you an idea of each individual step and what that step would look like. And basically all I did was take the high and the low, divide it by the 7 steps in between to give me an idea. So the steps are even, so they're not out of whack from one step to the next.
How long does it take to get to each step? Is that
it's a 1 year based on their evaluation. If they have to get a satisfactory or better evaluation to go to the next step.
That doesn't follow the scale like we do with the other general employees. Is that correct?
Right, that's correct.
It's its own scale.
Yeah, this is based on their contract.
so H is 8 and so it takes 8 years to get out to the end.
Yes,
The highest level.
If everything's perfect and they get good evaluations all the way through, they would top out in a year.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, I think just from my memory, by taking York County out and going with the median rather than the midpoint.
Reverse that.
Reverse that, going with the
midpoint
rather than.
Correct.
It's a slightly greater increase than what it was,
Yeah.
than what we presented a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah. I put the one on the screen from last 2 weeks ago. So the starting point is 2 cents more, but the ending point is 75 cents more.
Right. Yeah. The median actually provides a few cents higher for the employee. The midpoint actually is just a hair lower. So.
Well, we're talking about cents, not
Right. No,
dollars.
not dollars.
Minimal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Minimal.
Yeah.
Minimal pay.
Not
And
significant.
again, that's what the Eastman recommendation is.
To do it that way. I have no problem with it.
And I did run it by the union reps today and they have no concerns. They're fine with it.
Okay. I would entertain a motion for either approval or denial as presented.
I would move approval of the 2013 wage comparison numbers for the communication center.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Is there any further discussion? Record your votes, please. Russ is gone. Okay.
Appreciate it.
Well, I can't close this vote.
Abstain.
Abstain on it?
You okay?
Is he just in the hallway?
I don't know.
Oh, you need me to do this?
Oh, he's fine. We're good. No, we're good. Yeah.
Thanks, Kelly.
So Russ voted for it then.
No.
He didn't, he abstained.
He didn't vote no either.
Okay. Thank you, guys. Where's it at?
Here. So I get it back, please.
I'll just take a brief moment here to say, NACO is gonna, start a wage comparison living document that will be updated in real time. Well, maybe not real time, but monthly, just, it'll be ongoing. So we'll never have to pay for another estimate. We'll never have to call around to other towns. We'll have access to this document.
It'll be interesting to see because we have lots of unique titles. Not all counties have our same titles.
She can use my stamp.
Two names for their
Permission.
Okay.
as they build their.
We already approved it.
Who's in charge of it?
Is MIPS doing that or is?
Yeah. Just have her use my stamp on it. On the second. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, thank you guys, appreciate it. Next item, discuss, consider approval of community grant for diversion program, Tamara Fry. Good evening, ladies. How are you?
I'm presenting to you the community-based aid grant application for the fiscal year. I am prepared to be scolded by board tonight. 18 days ago, we had our director quit. She told me the grant was completed. A week ago, it hadn't even been started. So we finished it today at 3:48. I apologize.
Apology accepted.
Least a month, Monday through Friday, 10 hours a day. We got it done in a week.
Good job.
Good job.
You said you have a copy.
You did such a good job, we'll let you do the next one.
Kelly gave us a copy of it.
We've got it here.
So, Jack, Juvenile Assessment Center or Advancement Center has been struggling to find a director since Liz quit in 2020. The Crime Commission has asked us to restructure the Jack program into diversion with family support. Last year, the Jack numbers were 0 because the director did not go out and get the numbers we needed to get. I put a lot of those kids on diversion and kept them on diversion so that I could offer them services through diversion. The community age grant is committed to, with the grant's help, I am committed, the program's committed to making sure Scotts Bluff County has a program to keep juvenile out of the court system through diversion and family support. Since I came on board a year and a half ago with diversion, I have put hundreds of dollars of my own money into diversion and family support. Mr. Blue's been to our office. He's seen what all we've done during that time. Currently, probation has 118 juveniles on probation. My numbers of since July 1st are 59 referrals for criminal matters with 42 on diversion. Truancy numbers are sitting at 57 referrals with 7 on diversion. And these are numbers just since July 1st. Some of the sources the grant will cover is family skill building, tutoring, mediation, budget and life skills, parenting classes, substance education, mental health promotion, and advocacy at educational meetings. We are seeking a positive outcome for the kids in our community by providing services and skills to keep them from antisocial situations that may or may not be any fault of their own. Much of these funds come from state taxes for this county. So if the grant is not approved, that money that's sent to the state from our county won't come back to our county.
It will be dispersed to different counties across the state. And probably not the
at all. There's no cost to Scott, or minimal cost to Scotts Bluff County to run this program. The only fees, well, like I said, it's minimal fees to do that. And we've had this same grant for 8 years now since Liz did it when she started. And a couple of the statistics that I wanted to bring to your attention is mental health remains a pressing issue in Scotts Bluff County. The most recent Nebraska Risk and Protective Factors Student Survey for Scotts Bluff County showed that 8th, 10th, and 12th graders reporting depression at 42.5, 57.6, and 58% compared to the state average of 36, 42, and 42.9%.
Can I ask you a question about that?
Mhm.
Are you getting the type of response or assistance through Region 1 when you're having mental health issues like this? Or are they even notified, or how does that all work?
So these are data that is, it's the Nebraska Risk and Protective Factors Student Survey that they have 8th, 10th, and 12th graders fill out anonymously in school. And so these are young people reporting these numbers this high. And I know when I was in high school.
These aren't your numbers. You have actually filled out. Okay, that makes a difference.
So this is what young people are reporting. Young people are always going to underreport how serious their issues are.
Or not report them at all.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't report anything on that survey when I was in high school.
So I have a thought or a question. A week ago, I was at a social gathering and we were sitting at a table and we talked about why is it that, 30, 40 years ago that we had one counselor, one mental health person per however many, 2,000 people or whatever. And today that number is mushroomed into 5 or 10 times that amount. I had a doctor person sitting right beside me, and he said it's simply the breakdown of the family. And he said that's where it comes from. And he said, we have kids raising kids. We have all kinds of family structures at home that you can't even imagine. And I imagine that that's true. And it's sad. And I guess the question is, how do we get to the point where where our society and our processes, our laws, our whatever are out there to encourage the family to be, I'll just use the term, more like it used to be, rather than, I'll call it helter skelter, anything goes, anything is acceptable, and the fact is, not everything can be acceptable. There has to be some rules inside family units, and we have to live in a way that lifts people up rather than tears them down. And I don't know what the easy answer is, but it was interesting that this doctor person was telling me those things. And I had to say that I agreed with exactly what he was saying. And I don't know, again, what the answer is. I know you deal with it when it's already happened. I happened to be in court today, and the judge was giving that young person some options, and some of these were options. And it's just sad that we've come to it, and it's sad to me that we have mental health issues to the extent that we have them.
And unfortunately, Mr. Harris, there is no easy answer. it's a very complex issue with even more complex possible solutions. Another issue that we have today that, you know, wasn't around 40 years ago, a generation ago, even when I was in high school, is social media. And I do think that social media has some positive aspects, but we know that the younger kids are when they get on social media and the less supervised they are on social media, the more chance there is for very negative outcomes. Also, I am not disagreeing with, you know, the breakdown of the family, but one thing about mental health is there's so much more awareness and education on it now. And so I think even 40, 50 years ago, there were definitely still instances of mental health, but people didn't know that's what they were dealing with, and especially youth, because if you would have a kid say, I'm sad, you know, their very strict grandparent might say, well, get over it. And that isn't great for mental health.
Well, kind of, but the fact is that sometimes that's needs to be said.
Well,
frankly.
And what I don't want to speak for Tammy, but part of what she's hoping to accomplish through this program is telling kids not necessarily to get over it, but giving them ways, you know, good, healthy coping skills and pro-social activities so that they can move on and not sit and dwell on it, which exacerbates mental health.
The other issue that you have, and we've discussed this before, is the maturity level of today's youth. You know, we addressed it several years ago when we developed the middle school concept in the school district, knowing that when a child was a sixth grader, they were no longer a typical sixth grader when I was in school. These kids needed something more, which again developed the middle school concept to give them that, open that lid a little bit and let them go different places. But we are in a society now where we have, I remember back in the day when my wife worked at the school, and this was 25 years ago, eighth grade girls that had a child at home and were pregnant again. And it's not getting any better. It's getting worse. You know, when we have kids that are, and I shouldn't say kids, kids doing adult things. And I don't know that society has actually kept up with that. I think we still think of them as a juvenile delinquent. Well, no, they're not. They're criminals. I mean, they're doing adult kind of things. And I don't know that everybody really realizes that a 14-year-old today has a maturity level of a third grader when I was growing up. And and we haven't caught up with that. We really haven't caught up with that. And I absolutely agree with what Mark is saying. The family tradition, the family values to help all that put together are gone. And I don't know how you fix that, Mark. I really don't. I wish you could wave a magic wand and fix it, because that's probably the underlying problem for most of the problems that you guys deal with.
One of the things
Our
this year,
folks did a lot of work with that.
Faith-based stuff.
Well, it was a family unit, and you understood what that unit was. Yeah.
Religion and fear of God, and if you did anything wrong, you didn't know.
Right.
It wouldn't happen to you.
and I do have a quite lengthy community service list because diversion kids have to do 25 hours of community service. But before I give them that diversion list, I always encourage them to do community service at their church. That's the first one. The second one that I always encourage is the nursing homes, the vet homes, so that they can understand that. And one thing that we are building into the grant this year is the parenting classes, because a lot of them don't know how to parent.
Right.
Which parenting classes are you?
Common sense parenting.
It's a Boys Town model, and it's specifically for older, I think it's like ages 8 and up.
So not for newborn.
No.
No, because they wouldn't be,
It wouldn't be in their program.
eligible.
Right. And we know Boys Town's been around a long time. They know what they're doing.
And 6 years ago, I had for marijuana than I did 16, 17, and 18.
What a sad state of affairs. It really is.
Well, and again, I would only say that the parenting part of this is so critical. Parents need to have high expectations of their kids. And they need to expect them to be able to do certain things and act certain ways and participate in society in certain ways. Many of those, what you just described. But the fact is, we don't do that. We don't do that anymore today like we used to do 40 years ago.
Recently, that it was so simple, the premise, but it was kind of an aha moment for me because I hadn't thought about it before. That in the last few generations, parents have been having to work more and more due to inflation and economic issues.
True.
And so they're not around as much to fix these things, to monitor kids, to model appropriate behavior and allow them to make mistakes in the home in a safe way so that they can learn from those mistakes. And instead, kids are kind of, I mean, they're unsupervised so much more than they ever have.
They're being socialized by
Yeah,
this.
right there, like you said.
I appreciate your comments about the social media and stuff. And the strangest thing happened. And your comment about pro-social activities.
And that's something in
So
different
Yeah.
social activities.
So this strange thing happened at the middle school. My son's group, they divide the middle school into two groups, and then my son's group of sixth graders, they had the best grades for the semester. So the reward for that, the principal allowed them to go have an extra 2 hours on their phone that day. Just seemed like backwards. It just seemed go bowling, go swimming, go do something, go to the Y and have a day, don't reward them with backwards steps.
Go walk dogs at the Humane Society, whatever it is you have to do.
Well, I'll get off my soapbox.
Yo, but don't lose it though. You keep.
Well, I hope we all do, and we need.
I don't think anybody disagrees with it.
Let's go to back a comment. Earlier was said that it's complex. It's only complex because we make it complex. The parents nowadays have a lot of opposition from the government, from schools in a lot of cases, and different agencies because they don't want to hear from parents. And I agree with Mark. In the old days, we had standards. Faith has been a big part of my life. And I'm not a goody two-shoes, but it holds me accountable. But I have listened and talked to parents who have tried to interact with their local schools in different states. My daughter-in-law in Alaska is one of them. And the schools that they go to are just backwards. When a kid has a problem, then all of a sudden that kid has to fix it. The kid that's causing the problem, there's no punishment. I mean, we're going backwards is what's happening. And I like if this grant goes through, I like the idea of family support that wasn't available before. It had to be ordered through a court for kids on probation. This is going to give you some good, useful tools if you get this to have access to these resources. And I like to say also, I've watched this. I've stood in court with kids and just watched them get hammered. And I've seen juvenile probation drop the ball time after time, where they were ordered to have a bed date for an individual ordered out 45 days in advance. They show up for court, no bed date. And I heard Judge Warden say, when did you start looking? Yesterday. So these kind of things happen and these kids fall through the cracks.
They absolutely do. I used to oversee the runaway homeless youth shelter, and when I would be on call and I would have DHHS or probation, call me in the middle of the night and say, I have this kid who just stabbed 3 people that I need to place, and I would say, I'm sorry, but we are not a locked facility nor a psychiatric residential treatment facility. I cannot, I can't keep people safe.
I do have some questions. I kind of wish I would have seen this before you presented tonight. Are you, financial contacts usually been me or it's Heather? You put Kelly on here.
So the RFA this year said it had to be the county clerk or treasurer. So we flipped a coin. I know it's always been you, and I am assuming that this is kind of a formality because you're still going to get stuck
Doing some of the stuff, but it probably should be Heather. I mean, Heather watches the dollars come in. That's why a financial person's there. Now, questions now. What are you just filling in right now? We talked the other day. You had to come in at the dark hour, right? But I thought it was just to work through this. But I see where it's a lot more expensive. $6,000 in contract?
That's for next year.
That's what I thought. You were just a short timer.
As a contract
Yes.
person.
Okay.
Because the grant request for application allows for up to 5% of the award for grant writing.
Okay. Okay, because when I asked you this the other day, you're like, I don't know if we can claim my expenses.
I don't know if we can this time around because it wasn't written into this current year's application. But I did tell Tammy as soon as getting this submitted is behind us, I'm going to work with her on contacting the Crime Commission to see if we can implement the new family support program as soon as possible. And so then I'd help her with the project narrative and budget revision.
Okay, then we might look at that contract labor thing again, because like
Yes.
I said, I thought it was a short-term thing, Elizabeth and Tammy.
Yes,
Okay.
well, you had through like March, I think.
Okay. And last, you have Isabel is she going full-time? Is she taking a different position?
If the grant is awarded, then we have the money to make Isabel full time. She, right now.
Is she
I'm
interested?
This time, Isabel is 29 hours or less. So I'm working lots of hours and lots of days. Hopefully we can move Isabel full time if the grant goes through.
And she is interested. That's what I
Yes.
wasn't
Yes.
aware that was going in that direction. So I did know you need to fill the position, so.
And the contact at the Crime Commission also said that it would be allowable to move her full time as far as their stipulations.
What is our cost from vacation?
I mean, if it's all approved, the services provided under this are all paid by this grant. And that's why they had to push through and get it done because they thought it was already in process. I think you missed that part of the discussion.
I did.
Yeah, that they thought it was already in process because Tammy just lost an employee and it was not. So they're getting something to meet the deadline right now.
Yes.
But I do feel the treasurer should be your financial contact if it's not me.
Yes,
So,
we can
okay.
absolutely change that.
We can do that without change.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey.
All right. I would entertain a motion for either approval or denial of the grant for diversion.
I
please.
move that we approve the grant.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any further discussion?
Yeah, one other question. So this isn't the grant that is behind in paying us some money, is it?
No,
the
that's
other one?
Boca.
The
That's the
Boca.
Boca grant. And
All right. Good.
No, and we don't have a VOCA program anymore, and we're like $25,000 in the hole. And that's what Tammy and I got to figure out where that got left, because her person that left helped us get, I believe it was her that helped us get another chunk of money. But I believe part of it's, I don't know if it's refundable.
Okay. Doesn't affect this one.
It's not this one. No.
Any other discussion? Record your votes.
Okay, to post?
Close, please.
Like to sign it
Sure.
with that.
There you go. Thank you very much. Thanks for all your work on it too. Appreciate it. Next item, discuss, consider approval of nominating committee of Thomas, Skip, Jen. Is that pronouncing that correctly? Jenny. Okay, sorry. To the Scotts Bluff Morrill County Extension Board.
And this is, the letter is the.
We received the letter. If nobody has any concerns, I would entertain a motion for approval.
To approve.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Any other discussion? Record your votes.
Five yeses?
Thank you. Next item, discuss, consider approval of nominating committee of Becky Ulrich to serve as president to the 4-H Council.
Has she been the president prior? I don't have.
I think that's what it said. I don't
It's
remember.
it, your letter?
Yeah.
It's in your packet.
Yeah. I don't remember reading that part of it, Russ. I'm sorry. Okay. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Record your votes. Next item under general
Okay, got it.
is discuss and approve the sale of parcel number 010368159 by County Road 5, west of Morrill. Lisa?
Steve, I think Steve wants to start. Steve, please.
A little background on this. Or I think everybody was probably on the board, but this County Road 5 thing's been on the road department's deal since 2010 to try and establish a new county road for a bridge for a road that closed that they didn't want to replace the bridge on west of Morrill. This project won't ever happen. It cannot meet the standards that NDOT sets for the roads. We can't meet vertical clearances or horizontal clearances. So the county purchased this land back in, I think it was 2010 from the individuals. So I'm wanting to get this off the books, I guess. And would like to I've personally wanted to see if we could just do a quick claim the land back to the adjacent owners that were there, but the attorney tells me we cannot do that. So that's where Lisa has brought this up to your attention as far as selling this parcel or whatever procedure that we need to do to get this parcel.
What's the value of it, Steve?
I don't, the value is
$200.
gonna be $200. That's what we paid for it, I believe.
It has no ingress or egress on it.
Yeah, it has no ingress or egress for availability for people to get in and out, especially the south parcel. So there was actually, in the first purchase, were 3 different people involved. On the west side, the county went through condemnation procedures to get that property on the west side.
This is how it did
Yeah.
look.
Right, so the one on the west side went through condemnation procedures. There's 2 separate properties on the east side. One on the south, one on the north.
You're saying we can't quick deed it to the property
The
owner?
county attorney tells me no. It has to go through the public hearing and you have to put it up like for bid.
You have to, 2 public hearings,
Right.
or 2, you have to advertise twice for a public hearing. And then you can do a sheriff's auction, basically.
Right. I did talk to the county attorney. There are some people here that own the southeast part there that, will speak that they would like their property back. Of course, and not go to somebody else, it's been in their family for generations.
Sure.
So I guess I would like to recommend somehow, however we can do it to give them the chance to.
Well, I think we go by the county attorney's
But-
recommendation,
And it's, it's Phil Kelly that we're working with.
okay, or the attorney's
This is how the
Position.
parcel looks now, too.
There you go.
Yeah, I'd say that's what was sent to you, but this is how it is.
We would do,
And I would like to do both sides.
do 2 notices.
Three parts.
There's,
Whatever Phil Kelly says.
Oh, notices on the.
All right,
Whatever.
whatever
2 notices
Phil.
on the sale, put it up for public.
so kind of confusing because the east parcel was bought separately from 2 different individuals. But once the county bought it, was made one parcel.
There'd be no reason for anybody else
So-
actually wanting it.
Well, I wouldn't think so, but you know, in this day and age, who knows it?
Yeah.
Somebody
well,
won't go
could
there and
happen.
just do it just to do it.
So that would be that would be my recommendation to the board, is that we follow the recommendations of the attorney and do the 2 notices, put it up for public auction, sheriff's auction, and sell it that way.
Right. And Phil said that could be call it open, but it doesn't have to be a sealed bid auction. And I think that's what these people would like it to be, is a open auction where they can just come in.
Yeah.
And if they get the chance to bid $1 higher, then they got that chance, so they can have it back.
Sure.
Right. So.
Okay, that's my.
I'm sure they probably say it.
They got, I think you got everything you want right there. I think he gave you.
We paid 200, or they paid us $200, just our part. My sister was compensated for the other portion. I don't know what she got paid.
This would be for all 3 parcels then.
No.
No.
They own one, they own one. And
Well, let's sell yours too.
I can't vote on a thing. This, I would like to have mine back at some
So
point.
they own this parcel here.
Yep.
Her sister owns this parcel.
And the other issue with
This side is now Russ's, but belonged to Davis and went through condemnation.
I bought it after all this transpired. I'd like to
the
think
other
that's what
issue
that.
is, they paid me for 30 feet out, but I gave them an easement, I believe, for another 27 feet, so they could go in and fix it so it didn't erode after they got the road finished. They were supposed to go in and use that easement to prep the land and reclaim it so that the road didn't erode, because it's gravel and hard.
Right.
So there's an easement that is involved in my contract.
Would that easement go over away? Say, well, can we dissolve that easement?
You're gonna go, you're next.
Is it part of this parcel or that, or at the northern end or the southern?
It's a southern. They bought a narrower strip and then took an easement for the balance. They took a narrower strip.
This,
Here,
There's an click.
On this side.
Maybe Gene would do it.
that's the line that
So
she.
27.
There's 2
Oh.
feet, 60 feet, one is 33.
And they took an easement for the balance of hers, so that easement would need to be dissolved on their property. So it'd be their own easement?
Right. Can we have
Phil?
Can we have
Yeah.
Phil clean that up for us? We don't need an easement there, right? And why not clean it up and?
well, yeah, we were trying to keep Phil.
Right.
We've already
We
got
were
him
keeping
involved.
Phil out of this because it is going to cost more in attorney fees than this is worth.
Well, I thought you just said that Phil was involved.
We got him involved to the point where he said, here's the steps, you can do this. So you can spend a couple $1,000 and have Bill do it all, or we can have a meeting and
What Gene just said is that.
advertise.
I would really like these to go away. I don't want to.
That's my point.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah, it sounds to me like we're gonna need somebody to get it
It's-
drafted and corrected.
I think so
Gene,
too.
yes.
I think you ought to use Phil, and I think it seems to me that we created this problem.
That's right.
And let's help get it ironed out and get it back
Get
to
it back to these
people
folks that need it.
that deserve it.
Thank you.
I just say that the land has been going up down from my grandmother said this land, and the family members say 1908. We really don't have much research on that. It's been there a long time, so it means something to have the land back.
Sure. Okay.
These are on the property in Farmington. But her, she owns that to the north, and she passed away in August, so she's no longer here to represent it. So it's my sister Mary Welsh and my niece Erin B. Frederick are the co-executors of the estate, and the parcel of land is now being put into a trust that is not finalized or anything yet. They haven't got it finalized at all, and it will be Mary Welch and Aaron Beach Frederick will be the co-executors of the estate that are going to be taking care of this. And I believe that my sister Mary emails contact information that you need for this today to the commissioners. And if you, I guess they would like to request from you any correspondence about the land or the development as it goes along with what is gonna happen. They would like the information to them as long and as well as the children in the trust that are gonna, or that are gonna have the land in the trust are my sister's grandchildren, and their mother is representing their interests. So Susie Eisenbarth would also like to be included in any correspondence so that everybody can, you know, be kept apprised of the situation.
I think Mr. Kelly, assuming we're hiring
We
Mr.
wouldn't
Kelly,
remember all that.
he's gonna be the guy that's gonna be interested in all that information.
But we have
An attorney
Make sure-
representing us.
Make sure that he knows. Excuse me. Make sure that he knows that.
There is definitely a problem.
If he'll accept this, if he'll accept it, I'm sure.
Just a second.
Oh.
Actually, we have a problem on this plat. That parcel that you're showing is just an east parcel and a west parcel right there. There's three parcels.
So I marked back in this in the MIP system, it shows that they split 0.6 from this parcel and merged it with this existing 159 road county Scotts Bluff County road right of way parcel. So I merged it together just to keep it the way that it was in MIPS. But it is two different deeds.
It's two different landowners, so this needs to be split three ways, not two
Okay.
ways. Has to be split three ways.
Yes, but right now it's Scotts Bluff County's.
That's
So
right.
that's why it's in a Scotts Bluff County road right away.
But when it goes out for bid,
Yeah.
it's gotta be, the lower parcel has to separate from the upper parcel. Okay, I just didn't know how much.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
I would entertain a motion that we turn this over to Mr. Kelly to sort out and bring us back. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
And also there's two access roads to the property, which we don't need the access roads anymore because there's not gonna be a road to access to. And, there's a pile of dirt at the bottom of the hill that you can see down there, that's at the end of the property, yeah, right there. And when they came out to talk to us, I believe it was 5 years ago in August, I talked to Linda Brummer, is that her name? And I believe Steve Baird was there too, I think so. And we had talked about the pile of dirt, and she said that she was going to, we couldn't haul it off or move it because they were going to take it and put it on my sister's land to fill in and bring in more fill dirt. Pardon?
Well, wherever they needed it.
Yeah. Because it was such a drop off after they cut the road, they were gonna use it to fill in some, so it didn't erode anymore, and they could reclaim it. So I guess our issues are now, is the county still gonna put up the fence they promised?
It's in the contract. I think you still have that in the contract.
That's everything. So I think we'll vote.
And still fill in and reclaim it so it doesn't erode, because below that, next to where it drops off to go to the highway, it is eroded all down there. There's a issue where there's a great big hole eroding down there from washing off all these years that they've left. So, as far as leveling it, filling it back in so it doesn't erode anymore. And also, they had talked to us about maybe talking to the NRD and having them come out and show us how to reseed it. And we were promised they were going to reseed it, level it off, fill back in and get it, and also do good.
So basically you're asking them just to stay with, finish out the contract that you
Right.
receive. I don't have a contract on my, I did not own that at the time. I don't have the contract they have. They have a contract with.
Okay, I would, again, just suggest that we let our legal counsel handle and clean up all of your issues and make sure that they're covered, and then bring it back to us, and then we'll make the decision on
I think
how
Steve
it's gonna
needs
be
to be
disposed
part
of.
of that.
Yes, right, you're right.
Steve has to be.
Person.
13.
Wow. Who buys it? Right.
Until you're into the contract is completed, yeah, you understand.
I think you need to talk with Phil and make sure that, Steve, that you and Phil are on the same page.
With these
Again,
folks, too.
not knowing who's gonna end up buying it. I think that's the other thing. We assume that you would, and hopefully, I hope you can do it, and I hope that we can get things put back that I think we caused some of this problem. And, but unfortunately. Right.
They should have done all this work. They should have figured out if it was possible before they came and bought the land.
Right.
Yep.
Right. So.
It was all finished. What?
Yeah, we're gonna get it fixed for you. Okay?
Have a verbal auction.
He already. Yeah, he just addressed it.
Get here and wait till 59 for your final the other time.
Right.
And that's kind of where I could.
Well, before they said it was gonna be on the courthouse, yeah.
It could be.
Yeah, it could be.
Well, that's just a reference. Depending on the weather.
Okay?
That sounds like the best option.
Right.
So I think.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
Okay, did you have any other issues, ma'am? That's-
Aren't you gonna have to work with Phil?
Yes, that's what I keep saying.
Is there any way we can consider even, we would be more than willing to pay back the $200 that they paid us for the land to get it back? Is there any way that could be considered and not have an option?
In order to meet the statute, we need to go through the same thing that Mr. Kelly told us that it needed to be done. It needs to be sold at a public auction. Okay? So with that, ma'am, do you have anything else that you need to bring up with this? Okay, very good. Thank you. I would entertain a motion that we refer this back to council and come back with a recommendation. Robert had a question? I'm sorry.
Oh,
What's that?
yeah.
Okay, we'll get to that.
So I would move that we would turn this over to Phil Kelly, our counsel on this item, and move forward for the sale.
Yes.
I did.
The one you said this afternoon? Okay. Okay.
Okay, I didn't get it.
I'll send it.
No, I don't have anything.
We have a motion.
We have a motion. Is there a second on the motion?
I'll second it.
Is there any further discussion? Record your votes.
Close.
Close. Okay, under old business, I don't believe we have.
I have
What?
4 yeses and I have Mr. Reisig abstaining from the vote.
That property line goes right down my.
Okay, that's fine.
Thank you, Russ.
We should have voted on that ahead of time, but we'll let that slide just then. Okay. Under old business, we have none. We'll move on to public comments. The Board of Commissioners will receive public comments on this item, on any item. We won't take any action on anything tonight. Is there anybody in the audience that would like to speak to the board, please? We can get you under staff. Okay, we'll get you under staff reports. And that's what we'll move on to right now. Staff reports, we'll start with the board. Russ, do you have anything?
I do. You noticed I brought my dog today. Everybody notice that?
She's a sweetheart.
She's a sweetheart.
I love your
It
dog.
appears that we have people, buildings, adjoining buildings, things that are bringing animals to work. And they enjoy them. I enjoy animals. I'm an animal lover. You can see how much I love my dog. But we have people in that building that are not happy. And we have people that are cleaning up messes that don't want to clean up dogs. And I think we need to set some kind of a precedence here, how we're going to deal with that. I think it can all be done with the employee.
Personnel handbook.
Personnel. I don't
Right.
think that we have to do this as commissioners. I just want to bring it to your awareness, and if you don't want to change it, I'll keep bringing her. Hell, she's tired of coming. She loves to go to work. You know?
Well, it'll be something that'll go before the personnel board and then brought to us with a recommendation.
I agree.
To change the personnel manual.
Heather, I think a comment on that.
I wasn't there.
I think we need to work on that, if that's the case. If that's what they've pushed over to us, and we need to figure out. I don't have a problem with it either way. Pardon me? Well, that kind of fell through the crack.
Who told you that?
Is this gonna be a rule that the employees have to follow? It's gonna be an employee handbook.
Yeah, I don't know that's I don't know if that's a board decision, but
Who told you that it needs to be a board decision? Lisa?
I think this is,
Service animals and
yeah. Yeah, there was a lady with a dog downstairs this afternoon when I was getting my license.
but it is.
One of my poll workers has a dog, service dog.
It needs to be discussed, massaged,
I can't
and
hear
put
you.
together.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. You don't? I think if they pushed it, we would be doing it. I had a rental that brought an emotional support animal. I couldn't get the animal. I agree.
Same story. We need counsel to help us write this up.
That's why we should have somebody every.
I agree.
NERMA should have a something in the can that we can.
There we go.
do this.
Well, let's look into it, find out what's gonna work for everybody. And
Okay.
let's, we have some people that are working over there that are pretty unhappy with cleaning up other people's.
I
I don't
understand.
think they ought to have to do that.
Okay. Anything else, Russ? No, I'm good. Mike, you have anything?
I just got back from the annual conference for NACO down in Carmel. Attended some really good workshops.
You want to talk to
Hang on a second.
We can hear you, please.
Talking to
Well,
Mike.
just got back from the NACO conference and attended some really good workshops. The only complaint I had was they discussed consumption tax. I would like to had a board representing the other side just explain their views so I could get a balanced deal. Other than that, it was a great conference. A lot of good info.
Okay. Mark, you have anything?
No.
Charlie?
Tomorrow, the NACO board has a call with the governor. Last week I asked that we put on that agenda, we put the solar project on that agenda just to bring the governor up to speed. I didn't want to draw up the discussion earlier, but I believe that nameplate tax needs to be in. That nameplate tax was calculated in 2009 based on what is replacing is basically in lieu of personal property tax. And that was calculated in 2009. I think it needs to be moved up with inflation. So I'll be asking the governor to move with us on that. That's really all I got.
Okay. Unfortunately, I was ill the last 3 weeks and didn't get to attend. Actually, we didn't even have any meetings because we didn't have quorum. So I don't have really much of anything to report. So life is usual here. Kelly, we'll start with you. Anything?
Just, I attended the NACO conference too.
Okay.
Are you going to
Kurt?
talk about Gene, Robert? Okay.
Kurt?
This is last found. I say Friday, he's found it, it's Thursday, it's focused on. And it's really struggling to line up with our schedules. Sheriff brings in significant more than just saying thanks to the fair. So I am going to be working the state on the process, which sure will all about. Like for instance, an extra trip from Laurel for a wheelchair passion. If they pay us regular fares $5. Yeah, I don't know if you're probably so that offset. We're already kind of doing now, trying to accommodate those. And line up the doctor's appointments. By extending that. So it's working on that. I'll bring that to you.
Okay. Steve, you anything else to add from your report? Are they getting back on schedule?
Which grid? Thank you.
A box call.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Gene, do you have anything? Yeah. Good. Heather? Robert?
Making the actual steps of getting back. Yeah, have different facilities. Maybe probably what it is up. It's right. Yeah, we've got some friends out here. But I also wanted to announce that Gene the other day, I think a very prestigious board
She was named the MIPS plan.
Well, congratulations, Gene. Thank you. Good for you. Congratulations, Gene. Well deserved. You had your chance.
I know I have, but I thought of something while he was talking. Next note, we have been talking about redoing the county website for several years now, and we've reached out to find out how much it costs to post, post to our website. And I reached back out and talked to Derek, the assistant director of MIPS, and they're giving us the opportunity to pilot their new website, which they are not going to charge us an upfront cost for building a website. If Scotts Bluff County agrees to test and build the new website.
Why would we not do that?
That's what we say.
Yeah. Good. Very good. Thank you. Thank you, Ergon. Robert, do you have anything else?
For 2 years and never implemented. And the cool thing about this model is it facilitates the Lewis projects. All talk about. And Gene and I both looked at it. I at least looked at it. We're going to be forward with it. Very county got the benefit of it because
Well, instead of having all the papers, everything would be on our screens and
that's right.
just go with it.
Property record cards.
For that particular protest.
Property
Yeah.
record cards.
Holy cow.
2 years it's been laying there?
2 years.
Wow.
We purchased it. I got a, sorry to interrupt, Robert. I got a demo on this while we were there in Kearney. And it was just mind blowing how simple this will be. And I know, paper and flipping pages can sometimes be nice to have it in your hand. But the way this program has it laid out and set up, it's very, very intuitive. It's easy it's easy on the eyes. You'll understand where to track and all that kind of stuff. And now, correct me if I'm wrong, but is this also, in this module, is the filing of the protest in that same module? So there's
What happens to what I am supposed to sign and send back to the protester? Okay, don't forget me when you make this decision.
Scott. Oh, Dick.
She's from Beacon.
Beacon.
We're gonna have a call with her right after the first year. And we're going to set up. So she's gonna actually do, I think, we got a kind of a mini demo right there, like Charlie. But she's gonna do a big demo for all of the calls. And then we're gonna talk about it. And they said there would be no problem. Prior to preference.
Awesome. Good.
Now,
Good.
won't we have to have the Microsoft computers instead of, it probably gives us a reason to buy those, because I don't think you're gonna want that much of a program on your home computer or your working computer.
So
No.
what I'm guessing we get lights and temporary basis have to bring a computer in, they're small.
That's all.
Small computer. And for each one. And I think that. Also projected.
Let's see, yeah. I already gave you an estimate for a laptop, so.
I was gonna say,
Yeah, well,
I thought you were getting them laptops.
if we're gonna do that, then I'll take one rather than load it onto my computer. Yeah.
Let's just do that. Well, we got about point.
It doesn't take up space.
It's just the web page.
Yeah.
Okay.
Fairly simply, we just
Right.
have to see where we didn't budget for this, so, and there's not enough money in the IT budget.
While it's on my mind, can Robert get on the IT committee? Yes.
Would you like to be on the IT committee, Robert? Thank you.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Ashley, have you anything? Lisa, do you have anything? Okay. If not, I would entertain a motion that we move into executive session. Included in that, and I'm guessing it's the board and who else? Lisa, just you, okay? 5 board members and Lisa.
I'll move for executive session with the board and Lisa.
Is there a second on the motion, please? Any discussion? Record your votes, please. Okay, we're in the executive session at 6:55.
Something to submit.
You have to keep it to yourself. You can't tell me though. Oh, Millie, you make me tired.
Back in regular session at 7:50. Well, I'm sorry, I thought that's what you were doing back there.
The video.
Okay. Let me know when I can. We're back in regular session at 7:50. Do I need a motion, please? Not a regular executive. Do you have a
Executive
second?
session.
I'm prepared for roll call. Meyer,
Yeah.
Harris,
Yes.
Knapper, Reisig,
Here.
Blue.
Here.
Any decisions?
No decisions were made. We're adjourned.
Thank you.
Hey, Charlie.
Where'd you go? You want to come home with me? I got a real from Oh, I
Just got a deal from Robert Simpson. Go ahead on over. I'll be right. I gotta get.